to welcome everyone to this sharing session organized by Center for Professional Development, IIUM, with the winners of Anugerah Khas Menteri Pendidikan, Reka Bentuk Kurikulum dan Penyampaian Inovatif, or in short, Akri. My name is Al-Amirul Emir bin Ramzan Ali of International Islamic University Malaysia, and I will be your moderator for today's session. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to briefly share with you what Akri is all about. In short, Akri aims to identify, recognize, and share best practices of projects and initiatives that have been implemented at the institutional or individual level. Four main categories of Akri are Anugerah Pengalaman Pembelajaran Immersive, Maya, Teradun, and Bersemuka, or immersive learning experience online, blended, and face-to-face. Anugerah Pengajaran Transformasi or Transformative Teaching. Anugerah Pentaksiran Alternatif or Alternative Assessment. Anugerah Program Pengajian Inovatif or Innovative Course Award. In addition, Akri aims to stimulate and share Malaysia's higher education thinking and redesign practices in today's challenging environment. Today's session, ladies and gentlemen, is conducted for IIUM academic staff to promote participation from IIUM and at the same time as a platform to share good practices from other universities. We are indeed fortunate to have all the previous winners of Akri who will be sharing their tips and strategies in winning their respective categories. Before we start our session, I would like to remind all of you some housekeeping to ensure a smooth interaction with the speakers. First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, please mute your microphone if you're not speaking. Secondly, should you have any question throughout the session, please type your question on the chat box or on YouTube comment section, and we will ask your question on your behalf at the end of the sharing session. Alternatively, you may unmute yourself at the end of the session and ask your question or clarify any doubt you have. Also, we will attach the link to the attendance at 9:30 a.m. for today's session, and don't forget to register your attendance. I would now like to welcome our first speaker for today's session. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome Ms. Fadilah Raihan Lokman from Taylor's University, and she was the winner for 2019 Akri for the category of Pengalaman Pembelajaran Immersive or Online Learning. We are so glad that you could be here today to share your insights on this category. The floor is now yours, Ms. Fadilah. Over to you.
Thank you, moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me share my screen first. Can everyone view this? Can you view this? Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me today. I'm Fadilah from Taylor's University, and I'll be sharing with you our project, Bringing Pengajar Malaysia 3 module into the 21st century in a virtual classroom for Education 4.0, category Pengalaman Pembelajaran Immersive Maya, which was presented during Akri 2019. Firstly, I would like to show you, so these are the people that I'm truly grateful for to have them to be part of my team, where each of them plays a big role in turning Pengajar Malaysia 3 ready for Education 4.0. So I'll first start with the rationale of the project. The requirements to graduate from a Malaysian university is to take the MPU courses, and Pengajar Malaysia 3 in what is one of the choice of students of subjects. So this course is necessary so that international students can have appreciation of Malaysia's background, its culture, and people. Because of its compulsory nature, students may view this course negatively. Further, the traditional method of teaching this module using face-to-face method in an early lecture at Telius University was at odd hours, either very early in the morning in the 8 a.m. or after 6 p.m. during the weekends, which make this course very unpopular among students. Hence, to ensure good experience, we need to make the approach relevant to present learners by making learning flexible, where learners can access the course at any time and anywhere using their devices. So the second rationale is to make the transferable skills more visible. Thirdly, and finally, is to solve the students' low performance in Pengajian Malaysia 3. So, now we know that online learning and delivering lesson at scale has its own set of challenges. So one of them is low teacher-student peer engagement, which makes students feel very isolated. While destructive education gives rise to many innovative tools for teaching, focusing on just the tools without a sound pedagogical approach and learning design strategies, this can be detrimental to the online learners. Hence, a systematic approach to scale up good teaching following the 4M learning strategy keeps learning activities in check, so that learnings can be meaningful, memorable, motivational, and measurable, using the Salmon 5 stage as the underpinning model to guide in engaging with learners as a happy online learning experience. So in the applying the 4M, so these are the 4M as you can see in the picture, learning design strategy and following pedagogy approaches are applied. In the guided learning, students are fully scaffolded in the first 2 weeks of class using Telegram and e-activities in times with one face-to-face meetup. So this approach is used so that the learners are ready before they can learn in a self-directed manner. So next, as learners become more independent and understand their role as network learners, they will self-evaluate and self-reflect through online task completion. So moving forward, they can now self-direct to complete their group and individual tasks. So as you can see, so this is the Salmon 5 stage that is essential in providing support and development to students as they build up their skills in learning online. So in the subsequent slides, I will explain how the 4M learning design strategy is embedded into the learning journey through student involvement. So how can we create a meaningful and memorable learning experience the first time they are online? We welcome them into the VLE or virtual learning environment by asking students to introduce themselves in the forum. The forum is further enhanced with Geoactivity using Google Maps, where students make markers of their place of origin and attach a 360 view of the city where they come from. So the purpose of this setup is to make introduction more interactive for teacher students to get to know each other before introducing Malaysia for them during the whole semester. So I'll play with you a short clip of the forum and the interactive Geoactivity. Let me see. Sorry, I can't seem to play this. So this is the introduction. So they will first introduce themselves in the forum, and then they will go to the map and tag where they come from. So through these activities, all students will now be able to know how many students that come from their own country and then they will also know that they're also friends, also some of their friends that come from part of the world that they have never known of. In creating meaningful and memorable experiences, students were also asked to go on site to experience events in Malaysia. So for example, during the Merdeka Parade, students were asked to join and take pictures as they participated during the event. Okay? So besides that, we also have forums. So these forums was used throughout the semester for self-directed learning. When using forum, learners are able to appreciate their peers' views and opinion. So the online social learning activities allows reflection and research before posting responses. Further, learners' thinking are stimulated and extended through interaction with peers. So learners enjoy learning at their own pace. They value peers' ideas and arguments through online learning activities facilitated by the instructor. So this experience fostered learners' fondness towards Malaysia through better understanding of Malaysian history, society, and culture. So in ensuring learning continues to be motivational for learners, synchronous live sessions are set up 4 times in the semester. So the purpose is to maintain teachers' presence, further engage and guide the learners. Digital badges, on the other hand, as you can see on the right side of the screen, are given to motivate learners to participate actively online throughout the semester. So further, in creating a meaningful, memorable, and measurable learning, after going through a learning episode, students are asked to reflect on their learning using journal. So through their reflection, the graduate capabilities are measured. For example, for global perspectives, learners can demonstrate the appreciation of Malaysia's background, unity, and constitution in their writing. So which, as you can see in the examples shown. So how can learning be efficiently measurable online? For a class conducted at scale, one method is using workshop. So this is a peer-to-peer assessment activity, enabling learners to be empowered to evaluate their peers' reflection and the act of evaluation using a set of rubrics shared by the instructor. So this peer-to-peer assessment is also being used in the forum activities that I showed you earlier through rating system. So for a group project, students must work collaboratively to produce a video. Before the video can be produced, discussions are conducted in stages in a wiki, such as identifying the topic, research scope, location, project execution, and team members' role. All are evidenced in the wiki spaces. So to produce the video, students need to go to the field and mix with the locals. While being immersed in the group project, learners develop new behavioral patterns to adapt with Malaysian multicultural society. So here the example of a group of students who went to Malacca and visited the Baba Nyonya Museum. All right, so since delivering the course in the virtual learning environment, the trend of students getting grade A has increased by 30%, while the percentage of failure decreased 7%. So overall, students' results improved after implementing learning in the virtual learning environment. So 90% of students rated good experience in taking this module. So as for the transference of global perspectives, the election talk given by the experts from SPR and election day simulation give students an in-depth appreciation of Malaysia's constitution and structure through application. So by participating in the election through simulation, students develop insights to their social responsibility, on voting as a citizen. As for a change of behavior in demonstrate social competencies, at the end of the semester, students reflect on their learning journey, if their original thoughts and belief have shifted due to being exposed and immersed in the course activities and projects. So this course was reported to have very high engagement, participation, and completion rate activities. So as you can see in the slides, so this progress bar will help students to monitor their teaching and learning progress. The delivery in VLE is very scalable. When this project was submitted to Akri in 2019, there were over 700 students that have taken the module. And now, in 2021, the number has grown to 2,300 students in January 2021. So in the future, this module is envisioned to be further scaled up as a MOOC, and that can be taken up by international students from other private learning institutions. So digital badges was able to make transferable skills visible, so learning can be evidenced through accreditable backed by blockchain technology. The badges can be shared through social network sites like LinkedIn for future employers to see. So to conclude, the workspace in all industry is undergoing a massive disruption, and we no longer prepare students for certainty. The ability to learn independently and with peer will become a prized competency. Due to the transient nature of this generation, the ability to manage and regulate their own learning will become an indicator of success at their workplace. So these are some of our success stories during the IUCL and also other academic awards. And these are also some of the publication based on this project. So this is a short video to show you how this project was being conducted. All right, that's all from me. Thank you.
All right, okay, thank you so much, Miss Fadila, for the insightful sharing session. You know, one of the key takeaways from your presentation is that online learning experience allow the students to learn or to study at their own pace. I think this is very important, and I think as lecturers, You have to be there to guide the students, especially during this tough time. All right. We will now proceed with the Q&A from the members of the floor. Any question? Any question to Miss Fadila? Yeah. You may unmute yourself. Thank you. All right.
Okay,
Miss,
so can
sorry.
I ask the questions then?
Yeah, please, Dr. Mira.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Ms. Fadila, for the insightful sharing. I learned a lot, especially on how you design the engagement with the students. I'm very sure it is a long process, right, to come to this stage. How would you, so how would you monitor what kind of improvement you have to make from semester to semester basis? Is it offered every semester? Is the course offered every semester?
Yes, this module is offered every semester.
How frequent is the module offered?
Every semester.
Means that even the short semester you also
Yes,
offer?
yes,
Okay.
we offer even short semester, so 3 semesters in a year.
I see. Because my concern is when it comes to short semester where you have limited less weeks, right, as compared to other normal regular semester, how would you ensure that the students can still internalize the values? Because I can see there's a lot of internalizations of values of learning process. How would you ensure that in the short time durations? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mira, for the questions. So, in a way, how I'm gonna answer this. I'm just gonna be frank that personally for me, there is no differences by being taking this module in a short semester and even in a long semester. Okay, so students were given the same amount of workload, whether or not they're taking short semester or long semester. So, and as you can see as I presented, so students are asked to write reflections, reflections every week. So actually, is it every week reflections? Either it's in a forum form or it is a journal form. So, so students will also ask when they write forums. So in the instruction itself, students were not only required to write posts, okay, responses to the questions that I provided, but students must also provide feedback to their peers' posts. So from this activity, it actually helps students to internalize whatever things that they learn throughout the journey. And just to be like to convince you that students, even in the short semester, at the end of the semester, they still comes to me and say they actually learn a lot about Malaysia. So, and they were surprised that regardless of this short semester, and they feel that it is a waste that they didn't take this module in a long semester where they can actually take up more time to internalize whatever they have been learning. But either way, just to make sure that as students, all students were able to grasp the content learning. Hence, we have the progress bar. Okay, so from the progress bar, students and back up with the digital badges. So everyone will be able to know that a particular students, okay, have already fulfilled the content of the module. Does that answer the question to me?
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Miss Fadila, I have one
Yes.
question.
Okay.
All right, I think you did mention about Geoactivity just now.
Yes.
Okay, so what would be the mechanism for you to measure the effectiveness of Geoactivity?
The Geoactivity is simply for students to introduce themselves So we don't really measure the geoactivity, all right? But it's just during the first week of lesson where we have the self-introduction weeks lah. All right, so it's not part of the learning activities, but it is part of increasing the engagement between teacher, peer, and students. Yes.
All right, thank you
May
so
I have another
much.
questions?
Yes,
Yeah.
Dr. Mira.
Sorry, I forgot to ask. May I know the ratio between students and instructors? Because you have a lot of reflections. So it means that you really have to read through all those reflections to ensure that the learning process happen, right? May I know what is the ratio, please? Sorry.
Okay. To be frank, in a short semester, I have 500 students. And in a long semester, I usually have 200 students for this module because I also have other modules. But in a short semester, I usually have only this one module. So I have 500 students. So that is 500. Yeah.
So you have to go through that 500 reflections, is it?
Yeah. Yes, I have to go through 500 reflections.
Wow.
But then to increase the effectiveness, we also have actually other lecturers teaching this module as well. So among the 500 students for this semester, we have divided the load. So there's like one lecturer, so we have 200 both lah.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks so much. All the best.
Yeah, thank you.
I learned a lot from you. Thank you.
And we really actually read and mark each essay. So every week, students are asked to write reflections. So so you can imagine lah, like 200 times 5 or 6. So that's the amount of that essays, forums that we read, just to make sure that every student really learn from this module. Yes.
Okay, Ms. Fadila, there's one question from CPD, Sister Nurul.
Oh, okay.
And the question goes, Dear Ms. Fadila, can you share your experience in strategizing or how to plan directions in order to win Akri?
Can you repeat the question?
Dear Ms. Fadila, can you share your experience in strategizing or how to plan directions in order to win Akri? Or maybe what would be your prominent strategies in winning this particular category?
All right, so thank you for the question. That's a very good question because everyone here wants to win an Akri. All right, so I would say that keep all the evidences with you. All right, so throughout the semester, so for every student assignment, assessment, and you have to keep it with you. All right, but you definitely we have that because of all the audit thing, it requires you to have it, right? So you can just use everything that you have already compiled for audit and reuse for it for Akri. All right, so whatever assessment that you give your students, think back of reasons why you give those assignments to students in the first place. All right, so that will give you an idea of what kind of pedagogical approach that you are going. So that will itself give you foundation of what or direction that you will go when you write the Akri, the Akri content. Yes.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. There's another one question.
Okay.
Salam, Ms. Fadila. I just want to ask Ms. Fadila on the tools that you would recommend us to make our learning process lively and interactive.
Okay. I would definitely go with forum. Okay, I would definitely go with forum. I love forum. My students love forum. Okay, so even though in the beginning, all right, they find forum very hassle, like it depends on the question, definitely. All right, students in the forum. Okay, initially when I did this this assessment actually forum, I even write that students are asked to respond to the peers post. Okay, so in the initial stages of these activities, students will comment things like, great post, interesting, thank you for sharing. All right, but what you can do as instructor is that you evaluate their response. Okay, so during the forum one, usually students will get low marks. Okay, so because I say whatever thing that they post, for example, it's a very good post, so I give it 10. But when they comment to their friends, interesting, I will give 1. So average, they will get like 5. Okay, so and they will be asking like, why I got 5? Because the way you commenting does not contribute to the discussion at all. So what happened is that during forum 2 and forum T, they do very, very well. You must try this and you will see how effective this approach is. And then so they realize that, they need to read more. They need to be very insightful. And definitely forum is not something that you can take, very lightly. All right. So that's how they know that you really appreciate their writing.
Right. Thank you so much, Miss Fadila, for the wonderful tips. Any more questions
Alright.
from the members of the floor?
Do I have another question?
All right, I think that will be the last question. And thank you once
Okay.
again, Miss Fadila, for
All
the
right.
wonderful sharing session. I think it
Okay,
helped us in a certain way,
definitely.
inshallah. All
All
right,
right.
so
Thank
now
you.
we are going to take like 5-minute breaks while waiting for our next speaker. Thank you so much. And we just have attached the attendance link. Don't forget to register your attendance. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, inshallah by 9:45, we'll be having our next speaker who will be sharing on blended learning. Thank you so much.
Assalamualaikum, Urus Setia. Saya
Salam.
okay.
Hi, Prof.
Ya, apa khabar?
Baik, thank you so much, Prof. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for waiting. Next, I want to invite to welcome Professor Dr. Zaidatun binti Tasir from University Technology Malaysia, and she was the winner for 2019 Akri for the category of Pengalaman Pembelajaran Immersive Teradun or Blended Learning. Prof, we are so glad that you could be here today to share your insights on this category. The floor is now yours, Prof. Over to you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Terima kasih Mr. Amirul Ramzan. I think it's quite my session should be 10 a.m. Okay, I'm actually in another meeting just now, but then of course I did mention to the secretary at 9:45. Yes, I can actually Puan Nurul, so I can actually join the session. Okay, let me actually share my slide, and I actually preparing all the all the materials related to Akri in one Google form. Then you can actually access it through the link that I will share it later, including the slide. Some part of my slide is actually in Bahasa, but I will try to explain it in English because I think in 2019 when I actually participated in Akri, I preparing my slide in Bahasa because the form is actually in Bahasa, but you can prepare in English. Okay, let me share my slide. Okay, I believe you can see my slide. Okay, let me show it. Good, you can see the slide. Okay, so I'm preparing the QR code for you to get all the materials. In these materials, because this is not the first time that I give a talk about Akri. I have been invited before this by other university, including IPG. So that's why the materials are already there. So you can actually scan the QR code, or you can just go to this shortcut. I can actually share the shortcut later, the address in the chat section. And then of course, in what do I prepare in this Google Drive is actually my PDF Akri form. My form. I prepare also the portfolio that I prepare for Akri, because in Akri you have to prepare a portfolio for your innovation. I also provide all the 36, if I'm not mistaken, all the videos for the 36 participants in 2019 that are able to download it from the website before they close it. Okay, so I share it for these 36 participants is from all categories of Akri in 2019. So you can have ideas what are the projects and their innovation. And then the minutes is a 2 minutes video, and I actually provide also some of the guidelines for based on 2019, because we know that 2021 the guidelines and the form for Akri is not released yet by the Ministry of Higher Education. Okay, let us move. Okay, this is another materials that you can refer, produced by Ministry of Education. I think we have here, you also have your what you call it, your representative also from UIA, Associate Professor Dr. Ma'an, one of the speaker of the category Pentaksiran Alternative. So I actually, you can go to this shortcut. It's a shortcut where you will be channeled to Facebook, Associate Professor Dr. Wan Zuhaini's Facebook, for all the videos on this sesi perkongsian penilaian Akri. Last time that have been conducted by the Ministry on 8 December. So for those who missed the session, you can refer to this shortcut. Okay, let us move to the categories of the Akri. Mine is actually on pengalaman pembelajaran immersive, immersive learning experience under the category of blended learning, which is actually Teradun. Okay, one of the factors I believe, anyone who join the competition, you must have a factors to motivate you to join it. I believe this is actually the main, the one of it. Beside recognition, I think the rewards and the awards, the cash that you will receive, the cash money that you will receive is 10,000. Okay, that's I think is quite good for us to receive it. For the first place, the second place 5,000, and third one is 3,000. We are not sure on for 2021. Just wait for the Ministry of Higher Education's that they're going to set the price. But 10,000 I think is good for us to have it, so that we can actually reward ourselves also. And beside that, might be we can actually focus on any further works that we would like to do on our innovation. Okay, this is a part of the subcategories of blended. I'm looking at the blended. The blended has been set as 30. Is actually what you call it, 30 to 80% of SLT must be conducted in online. That is the criteria. So meaning that, okay, one of the factors that I observed during my I think pitching sessions of Akri 2019, some of the innovation, they did not fall under 30 to 80% of blended learning, meaning that 30 to 80% has not been conducted. The teaching and learning process of the innovation process, 30 to 80% is not conducted through online. So for example, if you just use any e-learning system by UIA as part of your innovation, that's not be categorized as blended learning innovation. You must be clear and must be clear and you have to make sure that at least 50% of your learning and teaching session must be online. You have to show it in your form later on that you conducted the session 50% is online. If your teaching and learning is just like a normal 14 weeks of teaching and learning, but you use online learning material as a supplementary of your face-to-face, that's not blended. That is quite clear, because in the pitching session, I think few of the innovation, they just claim that they have learning materials in the e-learning system, and then they say that this is blended. That's not blended, meaning that if you have 14 weeks, you have to make sure that at least 30% from that 14 weeks might be around 5 to 6 session must be conducted online. That's not, you're not going to have for 14 weeks of session, might be you have about 8 sessions is going to be face-to-face, and the rest of it might be 6 is going to be online, totally online. And this is quite easy also nowadays, because because of pandemic COVID-19, most class up to 100% sometimes is online. So that is advantages that we have during pandemic COVID. Okay, for the blended, you need to combine the face-to-face and online learning environments, and flipped classroom is one of the popular models. If you claim that your innovation fall under blended learning, immersive learning project, and it must be stated in the form at least one learning outcome. At least one course learning outcome. You have your subject, you have your courses, you have to show that in your application form, one of the learning outcome will be achieved through the innovation that have been produced for you for that blended learning. And it must be shows that it gives an immersive learning environments to the students, and also will affect and improve student performance. Don't focus on teaching, focus on learning, because this category is about immersive learning. It's all about student. So make sure that in the form you state everything about the student learning. It's not about you are the one who immerse in the teaching. Okay, the student is actually immersed in the learning. So this is very, very important. So because you know that in the applications of Akri, there are two parts. The first one is that you have to fill in the form. The form is very important because based on 2019 competition, Ministry of Education received quite numbers of form, up to I think 500, if I'm not mistaken, 500 applications, but they need to select the finalists among according to the categories for each category. So in my category at that moment, we had I think 6 finalists. Some of the category they have up to 10 finalists. So if you did not prepare or fill in the form correctly, if you did not follow the technical part of the form, which is actually has a limited word limit, each section has a word limit. If you actually exceed the word limit, like for example, it asks you to put maximum 100 words, but if you put it as 101 words, automatically your form will be rejected, although your innovation is actually a good innovation, excellent innovation. So please follow the technical formats of the form. So that's very important. The first part is about the form. If you follow the technical part, you explain every single word that you put in the form is meant to be for you to convince the juries that your innovation worth to call for pitching. Then you have a second chance to make sure that you are one of the winners. Because during pitching, you will be given about 15 minutes. They are very strict on the time, 15 minutes for you to present, another 15 minutes for question and answers. So that's why you have to know that you actually enter which categories. If you enter about immersive learning, the words, the nouns there is learning. So focus on learning. So it must be about the student, not about you, not about the lecturer who excited to use this innovation and so on. Never mention that in your form. So it's been open for individuals and groups. I actually joined Akri 2019. I actually joined in 2018 also. I've been selected as a finalist in 2018 in the category of virtual immersive blended learning, and Maya, but not blended. But in 2019, I joined it again. I've been selected as a finalist in blended learning, immersive learning, immersive blended learning. And then Alhamdulillah, I have been selected as the first place of that category. But based on my observation in 2018, your form and your pitching is very, very important during for the evaluation. And in 2019, I joined it as a group, because there are so many things to do. So I ask and I invite all of my friends to join me in the Akri competition. Although actually about 70% of the innovation is related to my individual project, but then I do invite others, especially the one who actually I think teach together with me in the class as a team teaching and so on. So it must be endorsed by your vice chancellor or your deputy vice chancellor of academic. Therefore, if the deadline of the application, let's say on 1st of March, you have to give times to the university to actually do some of the selection process also, so that they can endorse your application. So I believe UIA must have your Center of Teaching and Learning to facilitate this process. So don't just look at the deadline, maybe on the 1st of March that you, and then you think that you will submit to your vice chancellor on 28 February, because the university also have to check and have to select the right project that they would like to send to the to the competition. And this is the 4 elements of the assessment: the rationales, the approach, student involvement, and the effectiveness of the project. So each of these, there is a detail about it, and what are the rationales, what are the motivating factors that make you embark into this project, and so on. I will share some of the points that I put it in my application. And the marks here is 10%, 30%, 30%, and 30%. So based on these allocations of marks, so you know that you should concentrate more on the approach, the student involvement, and the effectiveness of the project, because the rationale is about just 10%. So this is actually the guideline to all of us. And this is the detail about it, the rationals, what are the challenges that you face, the main challenge that you face that makes you do this project, okay? And what are the approach, the project must be, the originality of the project must be clearly stated and can be seen and observed. What are the learning theories? Okay, for those who might be not belong to the education, because I'm actually from the School of Education, might be in terms of learning theory, I don't have any problems on it. But for those who are actually not from the School of Education, you might be from other faculty, don't worry about the learning theory. Usually, when you actually innovate something for your teaching and learning, you indirectly actually you already use any learning theories there based on your experience. However, in Akri, you have to identify specifically which learning theory that you focus in. Meaning that you are working backward. You have your innovation now, but what you need to do is that you have to work backward. And how do you identify it? This is where you need a members from the School of Education, from those who are actually expert in learning theory. So ask them, consult them based on what you have been developed so far. Can be represented by which theories, and you explain it in detail in your application form. So move backwards. Don't worry about it. Some of my colleagues from not from the faculty or School of Education, they worried a lot because might be at the first they are not considering of any theory, but then the innovation has been established very well. So what I can suggest is that move backwards, because I believe if you innovate something in teaching and learning, you actually represent any of the theory out there. Don't worry about it. Okay. And the effectiveness of the project, this is another factors and that you have to be aware on effectiveness of project, because you need to collect some of the data. Some of the data you already collected during your normal teaching and learning process every semester. Every semester we have our coursework, isn't it? We have our formative assessment, we have our summative assessment related to the subject that we teach in the university, in our program. So try to go deep into it, explore into it. What are the data that you already collected that you can actually align it with certain variables and analyze it to show the effectiveness of your project. And we still have time, because I believe you are and because in UTM we are actually in a process. This week is the last week of the final exam. You still have time. You still have time to throw some of the, might be survey, motivation survey, or something like self-reflection survey to the students to get their opinions on your project. You still have time if you can still contact the student. Don't worry about the effectiveness of the project, but it must be a database. Data. It must be based on data for the effectiveness of the project. Okay, as I did mention, the 240 participants of Akri in 2019, 32 finalists. And this is all the finalists that have been in my category from USM, UTM. Mine is actually number 18, the Inogogi, the Inovasi Pembelajaran Immersive, Menerusi Pedagogy, Innovative and Technology. You also have to find any catchy words to represent your innovation. Mine, I select at that moment Inogogi. Ino is actually represent innovation, and Gogi is represent the pedagogies that I use in my innovation. And one from Taylor, UMP, UMS, and UPM. This is actually the list of the finalists, 6 finalists for my category. Okay, so tips for winning the project. First of all, focus on the uniqueness of the project. Your project must be unique. What makes you different from other projects? Okay, focus more on immersive learning and towards student benefit, not others. Not others. Like for example, if your innovations is related to service learning, if your innovation is related to service learning, never mentions that the contribution of this innovation to the society. Just focus on through these innovations of teaching and learning, focus, which is actually for service learning, just mention that the student immersed in the learning process. Don't ever talk or discuss on the benefit the society will get and the university will get from this innovation, just about the student learning. Show holistic impact, the cognitive versus psychomotor and affective. The psychomotor, cognitive is quite easy for you to catch, is through the performance test, and you must have a performance test pre and post test, because to show the impacts of learning, you must have the pre-test to show the prior knowledge of the student, and after they went through your innovation, what happens to their performance. So it must be in the formats of pre and post test. But if you don't have a pre-test in your innovation, you can actually benchmark to any standardized or the average, the previous average score of your students. That's another things that you can do. If you don't have a pre-test, might be the current semester you have the average, the mean average score of your student, and you try to compare it with the previous average score of the student in the same subject, although might be the subject is not taught by you before this. That is how you can do it. We are researcher, isn't it? So works towards it. Show holistic impact, cognitive and psychomotor and affective. Affective can be measured through their feelings, their what you call it, their motivations. And if you don't have a specific instrument motivation survey to give it to the student, it's quite enough for you to just to do a qualitative open-ended survey to get at least their opinion and analyze it qualitatively. And then you can just make a conclusion on towards the holistic impact. The psychomotor might be also on their what I call it, on their attentions, on their physicals, something like energy on learning, that you can see that how do they immerse in the study. This is how you can look into it. I will share a part of what I did for my Akri on looking at the holistic impact. Follow the requirement of the application form. That is very important. Alignment between the information stated in the application form versus a pitching slide. So because you know the same judges, they already read your application form. So they already have in their mind what are this innovation all about. So during pitching, they will actually expect the information, what have been stated in your form is going to be the same, the one that you're going to present in front of them later. Provide complete proof of ideas and concept. And the ideas and the concept and the innovation has been proved in terms of its effectiveness. Okay, documentation that you need to prepare. First, the complete application form, the portfolio of the project. In my Google Drive, I actually provide the portfolio, 2 minutes video of the project. For this category, you have to prepare the 2 minutes video, a website or YouTube channel for sharing for the purpose of transferables. But one of the factors that it need you to prove that your innovation is scalable and transferable to other subjects. Okay, so this is the team members that involved in our project. Okay, I have up to seven members, including myself, and this is the portfolio. This is the portfolio, my portfolio. I prepare it in the formal format, and I prepare it using PowerPoint. Don't use any software. I just use PowerPoint, and this has been given task to one of my members that they have to prepare the members. Is one of my members headed this portfolio, so I put it what we call it, the Akri logo there. Then I bind it. I bind it as a perfect binding. I bind it like a book, and I send it together with the form, and I prepare it also in the PDF format. Okay, and a website. I also prepare a website and YouTube channel to show that I actually share my innovation with others, because one of the factors that it asks you to explain whether this innovation is only in your class or you have been shared with others. So this is where one of the channel for you to share your innovation is through a website and YouTube channel. Okay, this is actually the slide. I share the slide that I use for pitching. So this is my slide. Okay, and the rationales I mentioned that 20 or 30% of the student fail before this learning about the subject that have been taught about 25 years. There is one subject in UTM that I taught this subject almost 25 years. Then this subject has been labeled as a killer subject since 20 to 30% every semester my student fail in this subject. So this is make me why I would like to innovate and embark into this innovation. And another reason that I mentioned that the computer literacy, the computer literacy of my student is very low. And the third thing is that I receive students with different backgrounds. Some of them, they have a zero knowledge on computer. So how do I actually cater these groups of students? So these are the three factors that I stated as my rationale of the project. Then I put it the approach, because this innovation, the innovation that I participate in Akri 2019 is a 25 years innovation. Okay, although it's a 25 years innovation, but don't kata orang jangan demotivate lah. If you already innovate something within these 2 semester, that's quite enough also. I remember the second winner from USM, Prof. Kamaru Kabilan. His innovation is just around, I think, 3 to 4 semester. So meaning that if you embark into this innovation up to 2 or 3 semester, that's quite enough also. And not just like me lah, because mine is actually 25 years of innovation. So I have several approach because it's 25 years innovation. So I have several approach. That's why I actually select a general name for my innovation, which is actually innovative pedagogies for immersive blended learning. So I have this approach that I've been implemented in my Inogogi. And then I use several tools before this, like Flipgrades, mobile device, blog, LMS, and Facebook. And I show also some of my, I explain on the learning tasks. I give examples of it, where I implement it, pedagogy, the apps. I have apps in my teaching and learning. I have the digital comics in my teaching and learning. So because this is a 25 years project, I have the blog that having students use it almost about 7 years. I use blog in my teaching, and the Facebook also, and that I show to them. This is my innovation all about. Okay. This is the exact slide of my pitching during Akri final session. And I put it in the cycles of learning. I did mention that I innovate the learning cycles for immersive learning, which actually has been started with the online activity first, the flipped classroom approach. Then I have the offline. I have again on the online, offline is the class session, and I have the online session, and I have a reflection session online, and last I have students have to prepare their report in an online format. Right? So you can see it here: online, offline, online, then this actually carries 50% online, 50% offline. You have to state it clearly because this is blended. And this is blended, meaning that in your class, you from the 14 weeks of lecture, one semester, part of it, 50% of it, you conducted it through online. So you have to be clear on this, to mention on this. Okay, then there is a factors of scalable. So how do you make it your project scalable? So I put a timeline on from 1995. I have this project has been transformed and developed very well across till 2019. How do I make it scalable? I put it here that my approach can be actually replicated by others that want to do the same innovative teaching learning in their class. Then I put it also my learning material in the formats of chunk, small scales, so that can be actually embedded in other what you call it, in other courses and that related. And I also share of some of my learning activities through YouTube and through Facebook and through the website, so that it actually scalable, can be plugged into any courses. Then another second factor is transferable. Transparables I show here. The one in the orange, the orange color is my subject, but I have been share my innovation with other lecturers in the green one. The green bubble here, the green cycle here, bubble here is represent other subject that taught by my members in this Akri project. Okay, that's why I invite them. I invite them in my project because indirectly before this, they actually approached me asking me whether they can use my learning material in their teaching. So I said, yes, you can use it. So in this Akri, I invite them to be part of the members. So the orange one is mine, and I show them that the green one is where my other members have used it in their subject. So what can be transferable is the learning cycles, the design, and also the learning activities. Okay, and I prepare a website. This is the website that I prepare to show that transferable take place, and not only in UTM but outside UTM, where I share some of my tools and activity here with others that in Malaysia and outside Malaysia. So because you have to remember there's a marks for this transferable. You want to get full mark, so you have to be clear on when you explain it. Okay, next is actually the students' involvement. This is where I did mention this diagram. I put it in my application form. So I show it in terms of connective developments. What happens? Their student in terms of student involvement in terms of connective actually happen in this project, where through the activities, the authentic activities that I give it to the student. In terms of psychomotor, where they will have to do some of the field work, because in my learning activities, based on the scenario, pedagogy and pedagogy, they have to do a field work with their friend outside class. So this is where it will actually involve in terms of their psychomotor. And in terms of effective, most of the activities will be discussed a lot through online. So this actually will involve their emotions, their feeling, their perception. So this is where I put it. These three domains of knowledge has been catered in my innovation to create the meaningful learning experience to the students. Okay, and I put it here, the average of the student who posted in the forum up to 453 in a month. So to show that they're immersed in the learning process. So this is a part of testimonial of the students, okay, that I got it and I share it and I highlight it. I did not read it one by one, but I highlight it that to show that this comment is related to my teaching and learning innovation. So this is part of it, the specific apps, because I did mention I develop apps for my innovation. And also they have a discussion forum, they feel the real life situation and everything. So this is part of the students' testimonial. Okay, the impact. I divide the impact according to several variables. First is the impact of the project on the students' performance. So although I actually embarked in this project since 1995, but at that moment UTM did not have a proper system to save student performance. So I did not have a data before 2009. So that's why I just managed to show them this is a progress of the students' performance in the same subject, one single subject, that throughout from 2009 to 2019, where you can see that the numbers of the students, the score of the student, the average of the student, the percentage of the student who receive A has been increased compared to those actually in C plus, C and C. Okay, C minus, sorry. That is how to show it, the impact. And the average on this on the score is about A minus 75 to 84 marks. And from the 18 semesters, I put it here that the numbers of the students who got A minus and above are quite high. So to show it that it give an impact. This is, you can have it based on the performance of your class every semester. To show the impact of pre and post, there is one time that I have a pre and post to monitor the improvement due to because of my innovations. So I show them that in semester 1 that I able to collect this data to show that there is an impact before and after. Okay. And in terms of critical thinking, actually I actually measure it. How do you measure this critical thinking? So you can measure it through the discussion forum. If you set a discussion forum or Facebook, if you're online, you claim it, the tool is Facebook. If you claim your online tool is blog, it's okay. You know that in blog, student replied everything. So you transcribe their discussion in blog, their discussion in Facebook, the discussion in forum. You can analyze it. You can analyze it according thematically, using a thematic analysis, qualitative methods. Then you come up with the percentage of how many of the student posts in online forum fall under clarification, under assessment, under inference, under strategies, because this is the 4 categories by Perkins and Perkins and Murphy in terms of critical thinking. So you can show it. So you can do it. And if you have a forum, Facebook discussion, don't worry about it. You can just sit in and analyze it. And from this also you can able to publish paper. I publish a lot paper related to my innovation in even in Q1 journal. This is a student reflection pattern that you can get it also. How do you find it? You just find the category of pattern of reflection through blog or through Facebook or through forum by any researcher. Mine is actually I'm using Lemmy and Goodfellow. Then after that you transcribe it. You do a content analysis on student forum discussion and categorize it according to the category and calculate it in the form of percentage. The impact in terms of social present. I also have an impact towards social present. I also have impact towards the problem solving elements. And this is how I show it, that the impact is actually holistic. And the impact of it is already a holistic impact. And of course, I also have motivation. Motivation, I think, I believe in UIA. At the end of every semester, of course, there are teaching evaluation, isn't it? Teaching evaluation by the student. Then you can use a comment in the teaching evaluation, and the data that you get from your teaching evaluation process that you can share with the panels, that this give the impact towards your project give impacts towards student learning. And recognition, I put some recognitions. I receive, I actually have 13 award for these innovations. I have 12 copyrights. I have 13 publication in some of it in Q1, Q2 journals, and so on. And this is the several, what I call it, awards that I receive for my innovation. Okay. And that's the last of it. And I have a video. I'm not sure whether my video can play smooth through Zoom. Let me share it, the 2 minutes video that I prepared. And in 2019, when I've been selected as one of the finalists, at that moment I actually performing my Hajj. I received an email while I'm performing my Hajj, masa tu dekat waiting for Wukuf, if I'm not mistaken, 2 days before Wukuf, I received an email saying that my project has been listed as a finalist. Within 1 week, I have to send the video. I have to give the process of the responsibility of preparing the video to my members, my group members. That's why I suggest you to join Akri with friends, because we did not know, and because we need help from others. So this is a 2-minute video. Let me try to sorry, this is not the 2-minute video. This is actually the video that I show to the panels that how the innovation take place in my class. Let me play the video. I'm not sure whether I can. Might be when we share it, or I can play it later. Okay, the video. This is a capture. Why do I have this video? Before I joined Akri, I also participate in teaching award at UTM level. Teaching award at UTM level, they observe your teaching learning process. So luckily I have this video lah to show part of it to the panels. So, and the 2 minutes video about my innovation is actually in the Google Drive form. So I think that's all my sharing. Let me stop share my slide. I think it's better to open Q&A so that if anyone would like to ask questions, and you are welcome to ask. And let me try to show you what are the files that I prepare in the Google form. And before that, I just would like to ask, is anybody, I think you can scan the QR code, and let me give also, as promised, let me give the URL, okay, in chat for those who might be not able to catch it. Okay, let me give it to the Zoom. That's the chat. Okay. Okay. This is the the shortcut for the Google Drive. Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, you can access because I did share it properly yesterday, so that you can access the Google Drive. So I open question and answer for any questions back to Amirul.
Thank you so much, Prof, for the wonderful sharing session. If I may conclude, Prof, I think at the end of the day, when it comes to blended learning, we have to focus on the students' learning. And I think that is very, very important.
Yes.
Right.
Student learning.
Okay. Now I would like to invite questions from the members of the floor. Any question?
Okay, while waiting for the question, let me share what I put it in the Google Drive. This is the Google Drive that you will get. There is a Bahan Akri Zaida. Inside here, I share you all the form, the portfolio of Akri, the poster, the slide pitching, and also the video, the 2 minutes video of my Akri. And this is the finalist. This is all the videos of 30 finalists, 32 finalists of Akri. I am able to download it and before they actually stop sharing. Okay, and this is the guideline. The slide today. Sorry, this is a slide today, and this is actually the list of the finalists. So that you get ideas on all categories. Who is actually the finalists? Okay. And then what you call it, the requirements and all the guideline of Akri 2019. Might be 2021 slightly different from this one. Okay, so I give it everything. So I hope you are able to join it. Please join the competition. Okay. Okay, so any questions?
Okay, Prof. Can we start with the first question?
Mm-hmm.
This is actually from me. Okay, Prof. I think Prof. I think you did mention about Facebook just now.
Mm-hmm.
So, how effective do you think Facebook is when it comes to learning?
Okay. I did a lot of research using Facebook in teaching and learning since 2010. I even received a grant also, several grants to explore teaching and learning through Facebook. Okay, when you talk about Facebook, because my area is educational technology. My area is actually computer science education, so I'm actually educational technologies. Okay, one thing that you have to remember that when you use a technology in teaching and learning, you have to browse into the technological tools that popular among the student, because our student is Z generation. They love to use this tool. Okay, whether you use Facebook or not in your teaching and learning, they still subscribe to Facebook. They still actually have Facebook account. So our approach as an educational technologies, how to actually use the common technological tools that the student use in their life, but you bring them into teaching and learning. So my research is all about that. Okay, so what I did is that, okay, I actually work backwards, looking on the principles of Facebook from the context of teaching and learning. So if you look at behind Facebook, is about socialization. How do you socialize among peers in not only for learning, but for other things? How do you socialize it? How do you actually use Facebook for socialization? So what I did is that in education, we have what we call it social learning theories. The best learning methods for student or anyone around the world is by socializing. When you socialize with others, you learn a lot. That is an informal learning process. Learning is not about sitting in the class or sitting in front of Webex and Zoom and went through the formal learning process. The best learning situation is that by discussion, by socializing with others. In Malay, we call it like membawang and berborak dengan rakan-rakan. That is the best teaching and learning process, because indirectly, informally, you learn something. So Facebook prepare this kind of platform, but how to make it a little bit formal? How to make it, how can you formalize Facebook as part of your teaching and learning tools? What you can do is that you can set two process in the Facebook. The first one, you can set a Facebook page for learning. Don't use just the student Facebook account. I set a Facebook page, or you can set a Facebook group. So I use these two types of ways to set or to use Facebook in learning. I set a Facebook group or I set a Facebook page. The Facebook group is represent your course. For example, I'm teaching programming, computer programming course. So I set a computer programming Facebook. Enroll only my students into this Facebook group. I post everything about the learning activities, everything in the Facebook. So I'm not actually allowed them to use their personal Facebook account. They only use the account just to enroll into the Facebook group. So it's a formal actually learning environments, but using informal tools like Facebook. You guided everything. And I'm quite busy person also at UTM because I actually hold a position of a dean. So since I have this Facebook group, it's easy for me to respond their question anytime during Senat meeting. Okay. During Senat meeting, I have a notebook in front of me or handphone. During having a lunch, I can just easily answer their queries, their questions related to learning, teaching and learning through Facebook. And usually, I'm not the one who's going to answer it. I easily tag someone in the class who really good in this part. I say, okay, Kamaro, please help your friend here to answer it, because it's so easy. And with this Facebook group and Facebook page also, I can invite my friends from other university, like from UK, from US. They are teaching the same subject. So I invite them in the Facebook group and Facebook page to be a co-facilitator of my class. So this is how I use it. And I measure it a lot. And if you ask me, students love it. And I link this Facebook also with my UTM e-learning system. In the e-learning system of UTM, I link it to this Facebook group. So they love it because they love Facebook. And indirectly, they have to love the content that I put it in the Facebook. This is how you do it in teaching and learning. Okay, Allahu Alam. That's my approach. Okay.
So basically, Prof, so they have to create another account beside their personal account.
They are using the same account that they have it. But I just invite them. Only certain students can join my Facebook group and Facebook page.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. All right. There are two questions from Sister Salina.
Okay.
The first one would be, what will be your utmost advice to those who would like to participate in Akri? The last question for Sister Salina would be, what would be the best app or platform for blended teaching and learning?
Okay, the first one, my advice is that if you just embark into the innovation might be in one semester, for me, you are not ready for Akri. Okay, make sure at least you have been try your innovation up to 2 semester, so that you can compare the performance of the students and you can follow the student performance from the first semester that you started and the second semester. Okay, that is my advice. Meaning that take about 1 year about it, so you have time also to apply for copyright of your innovation. You have time also to might be to produce few papers related to your innovation. You might be also have time also to what I call it, to collect certain data beside the performance only, to show, to prove that your innovation works. So because during pitching, they will ask how long that you have this innovation. So usually, if you say I have it more than 2 or 3 semesters, so it will actually convince enough the juries that this concept or this innovation works. If you just try in 1 semester, if the innovation is really a small scale innovation, I believe that innovation is not ready yet for Akri. That's my advice. The second advice is that focus on your own expertise. Take your own class, because you have to remember, one, in the application form, you have to state the course learning outcome and the learning outcome of the subject that you would like to tackle, and that your innovation tackle it. What I call it, that your innovation, that learning outcome that related to your innovation. So this is where very important that it must be the class that you are familiar enough. Okay, because when you experience, for those, I think my colleagues here who have been teaching almost more than 10 years, for 25 years might be, you are expert in that subject. So it's easy for you to find the rationale why you embark into this innovation. Because as I did mention in my slide, I embark because of my subject has been labeled as a killer subject. Every semester I have to defend in front of my dean why I have 20 to 30% student fail in my subject. So find your own subject. And also you have 14 weeks, might be 14 weeks of your in 1 semester, might be the topic is about 10 topics of teaching and learning. Then just focus on certain part only, not the whole 10 topics of this innovation. The certain part might be you are just focusing on 6 or might be 4 topics from your course that you use it, this innovation as part of the teaching and learning. And because you have to show it works. And to make sure that you're confident enough that the student immerse in the learning, that's why the innovation must be more than 1 semester, so that you confident enough to have your pitching later on. The second one, which platform? Okay, which platform is up to you. This is actually for me, the platform is not really important. The important part is the student learning activities, and the student learning activities that you design for your innovation. Okay, that the technological tools that you use, whether Facebook, whether apps, whether blog, whether Zoom, Webex, I think that is just a tool. But how do you creatively use it with your learning activities that you develop in your class? Okay, so and then try to be creative a little bit, because you know what, we are academician. Usually, we have been trained. We have not been. We are not actually went through a process of how to be creative as a teacher, but we are content expert. We are actually expert in our own area. So my suggestion is that try to be a little bit creative. For example, this is where you need more than one head to think about what are the name of your innovation. Find the uniqueness of your innovations. So not because of you doing it through apps, you doing it through blog, you actually use Facebook, because that's common. You are not the only one who actually create innovations, use Facebook in learning, use mobile apps. There are so many people outside there using that tools in teaching and learning. But the one that you innovate is that your learning activities that you tie with the technological tools. Okay, both you need to have a balance of your learning activities that based on the learning theory, but you adjust it, you represent it in the unique ways in your class, then you embed the technological tools as part of the tools of learning. Eh? If you ask me, the innovation to make the student immerse in the learning is related more on the teaching and learning methods, not on the tools. And the tools is just a platform to make it online, to make it blended. Okay, that's my advice. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prof. There's this one question on our YouTube comment section.
Mhm.
And the question goes, thank you, Prof, for sharing on collecting and presenting data from your teaching innovation. Could you please share how you tabulate your data, proving your students' engagement in your course? Thank you.
Okay, how do I tabulate the data? For example, the one that I show it, the social present, the social present data. How to collect it? There is a standardized survey to measure the social present. What is social present? Okay, social present is one of the important variables for students to survive in online learning. And they have to have a high social presence. If they don't have a high social presence, they cannot survive in Facebook learning environment. They cannot survive in online forum discussion environment. So this is where you need to measure. There is a standardized instruments about social presence that you can actually download it from the internet. If it is a survey, so since it's a survey, it's quite easy for you to tabulate it, to cache it and to analyze it. Even you can actually compute mean about every elements of the what we call it social presence, or might be you can just report it in the form of percentage. That's one thing. But most of my data is I got it from the online discussion forum. You know that in your online discussion forum, the student post to reply your question in the forum, isn't it? So I analyze it qualitatively using a content analysis method. Content analysis method is a method that you use in qualitative also. It is similar like a thematic analysis in the qualitative methods. With you try to find the themes, that similar themes that you get it from the online discussion forum that student post in the forum. So you analyze it one by one. That's why you need a group. You need a members. Actually, I have this data because I publish paper related to my online discussion forum. That's why I already have it. I did not produce it for Akri. I produce it because my research is more on teaching and learning. So that's why I already have the data. I already have the data on student motivation, student social presence, students engagement through the what we call it, online discussion forum, student engagement in Facebook. I already have that because I produce a published paper related to using this tool in teaching and learning. So to tabulate it, there's so many ways to do it. The content analysis method, survey, standardized critical thinking test. Critical thinking test is out there. Just download it, adjust it a little bit for the purpose of your class. So it's quite easy. And even if you're confident enough, if you have quite enough data to run inferential analysis on it, why not? Because if you do the inferential analysis, inferential statistic on it, it will actually valid data for you to show that your innovation work. It gives positive impact to the student. Okay, so it's come from the quantitative and qualitative data, and there are some methods on it, a proper methods of it. We have to remember that most of the juries in this Akri, their background is actually in teaching and learning. That's why you have to make sure that although you are not from education background and from the School of Faculty of Education, but you need to consult people from educations just to make sure that you report the impact analysis properly, because they did actually ask the questions. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Prof. That question was from Dr. Chong Li Yao. Okay, the next question from Sister Salina. What would be the best students feedback channel that can improve our teaching?
Okay, the best, you have to remember one thing. Okay, when the student want to give feedback to us, especially feedback towards towards your teaching style, towards the learning activities that you conducted in your class, the best one is any platform that reflect what we call it anonymous feedback. Okay, because sometimes students would like to give sincere feedbacks towards your innovation, towards your teaching. So if you can have a platform where you can't detect who are the one who going to give this feedback, that's the best, I think, mediums of channels that you can use. But however, this is based on my experience. It goes back to your personality in teaching and learning. How do you teach in your class? Mine, when I teach in my class, I'm actually use a concept of friends. I act and I always say to my student that you are my friends. I'm using an informal methods in my teaching and learning because I would like to be enjoy. I would like to enjoy in teaching and learning. I don't create formality in my teaching. I can just easily say you and I with a student. They did not actually need to address me as prof. That's me. When I introduce myself in class, I say that you can call me Zaida because that's the name that's been given by my parents. Okay, but of course in Malaysia, don't worry, they will call you prof, don't worry. But if they call you Zaida, they call you by your name, I don't have any problem with it because maybe I'm graduated from US. US is very, really informal. I did call my professors by the name. Peter, I just call it Peter. They don't want me to call it as Prof Russell. They just want me to call it as Peter. So I call it Peter. So it's okay for me. This is the trust that you have to create with you. Between you and your student, so that they enjoy, then they know that they can make mistake in your class. Okay, because learning relates with mistake. They can try an error in your class. They can be frank with you in a professional way. Then later on, although you just WhatsApp them, sometimes I just WhatsApp, can you give a comment, short comment on the last week teaching and learning methods that I use in my class? They just easily give a comment, sincere comment saying that, Prof, this part I don't like it. They just sincerely can say it if you welcome them to do so. So as an academician, the problem about us in maybe this is an Asian culture. We tend to demand for this kind of formality, respect from students. For me, respect, you gain respect. You don't ask, you gain respect when they see your personality. How do you passionate in your teaching? Okay, even though the students might be not really in a good mood attending your class, but if you show your passion in teaching, they will say, Prof, I really sorry, I can see that you are really immersed in your teaching. I should actually pay attention. So this is a two-way process. But if you are as a teacher in your class, you okay, today, okay, we will learn it, and you show that kind of personality, you can see it will affect the student feeling. First, give a happy environment of learning environment to your student and allow the student to say anything in a proper way. Okay, don't worry people to criticize you, don't take it seriously, forgive and forget. That's my style. Okay, then you can get a sincere comment from your student for you to improve it. For you to improve it and get a genuine feedback from them whether your method works or not. So if you ask me, I get response from my student from WhatsApp, from email, from Facebook, from UTM formal teaching evaluation form. I get it. Okay, because you know what, student worried a lot. They thought that when they actually post something like not really focus on the positive comment, they thought that you will label them later on as something like students having problem, then you might be give low marks to them. They worried a lot on that. Okay, so that's why they're not going to give you a genuine comment. So be open. I receive some quite harsh comment also, but it's okay. And maybe it did not works to that student, but works to the other student, 39 student in my class. And I have to accept it. And it gives me challenge to tackle that one student. How do I tackle this student? Okay. So this is how you do it. Sometimes to tackle it, for example, now I have one student who quite passive in my class. I did not know why this student passive. So what I did is that I set a special WebEx session with this student. I even send this student Panda and Grab coupon. Okay, just to motivate this only student. So that I say, okay, you might have something at home. So now just wait, I'm sending you a McDonald's. Okay, and then we have a one-to-one session now. And you know what happened? The behavior of the student changed. Yesterday I just finished mark his answer sheet, so he received A- in my class. This is how you tackle it. So you must be happy, and you must be create the interesting learning environment in your class. Okay.
Thank you so much, Prof, for the wonderful tips. This will be the last question.
Can I ask?
How do you
questions, sorry?
stay composed or remain composed, competing against your competitors in this particular category?
Okay. First of all, when you enter any competition, you must know your competitors. You must know your competitors. For examples, when that's why one thing, I give you a tips. When I send my application form to Akri, okay, and then you know what, in my category we have to prepare 2 minutes video, isn't it? So I start to search in YouTube because they have to share their video in the YouTube. That is what the Mohi wanted. Okay, so I start to share in YouTube anything about Akri 2019 immersive. Then I find my competitors. When you know your competitors, you identify, analyze the weaknesses of your competitors. To kill them. And that's me. To kill them in a smart way. Don't just kill them. Because in competition, you have to know it. And you have to know it. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? So I ask my members, okay, start to search all the Akri 2018, 2019 in YouTube videos, about 2 minutes video related to immersive. This is how. This is direct to find your competitors in the competition. Okay, that's one thing. Another thing is that not only the competitors, I didn't know who are the judges, but I know the judges is among my friends in Malaysian University. They're working in my own area. Okay, they're working in my own area. So I know their expectation. I know their expectation by reading their articles and also browse into their work. And I know that what are their school of thoughts. They might have this kind of school of thought. So mine is actually focused on which school of thought, and I try to facilitate and try to cover it in my innovation. That's me. And then about others in academia, for those my friend here in academia, I believe you know who are your competitors in Malaysia. You know who are your competitors in the world. And you know also who are your colleagues. I'm actually not saying that they are my competitors. They are more, I think, my friends working in the same research area with me. So this is where I'm actually like to read their works, like to look at what are the current research area that they embark into it. And I have to keep also myself, my research area. I have to make sure also I'm actually updating in my school of thought, my research area. This is what you need to do as an academician. If not, you can't stay in academia. You need to explore new things. You cannot just be stick with the old technological tools, the old concept of teaching and learning. You have to catch up the trends, especially because your student is Z generation. You have to know some of the bombastic words that the Z generation are speaking among them. There are so many, they have their own bombastic word because you did not know, you did not understand. You have to sometimes use the words. They love to have a shortcut, a short form in everything that they are explained in your class. So you have to know it. Now you need to learn, and you need to work closely with those experts in Malaysia that in your own area, okay, and respect them also, and how to make sure also you are on path with others. You need to publish. You need to increase your visibility in YouTube. You must have your own channel in YouTube. You must have your website. You must actually contribute in everything. Okay, so that to share, and of course you have to win competition. Okay, to show that you have been proof not only to you yourself and to others, that you have some things that you can share with others. Okay, that is how you do it. Okay, thank you. There's one question I think from someone.
Yeah, sorry, Prof.
Yeah. Okay, Mira.
I attended your pitching session last time, and I know actually when I see how you present during the pitch sessions, you're going to win because how passionate you are, and we can just feel the vibes, Prof. And but I'm thinking, I mean, like for the benefits of us who are new to the competitions, I think IUM will be the first time if we're joining this year. How we actually sort of prepare during the pitching sessions, because I think most of the questions, especially from most of the juries, comes in the theory of learning, which for of us, I mean, like for most of us who are not from the domain of education, we usually experiment with the activity first, then we find the theory. So it's kind of like, so I'm not sure how would you suggest, Prof? Thank you.
Okay, I give you some of the tips. Actually, yeah, no doubt. My colleagues in education, sometimes they throw you a killer question related to learning theories and so on. But I give you some of the tips and tricks. Actually, learning theories is about a theory on how people learn. That's all. Learning theory is just a thing that how people learn. People learn by many ways. People can learn it by themselves, just sit in front of books and read. And learning theory is nothing different from the things that you already did in your class. That's why most of my friends in not from the education faculty, I always say to them is that actually in yourself, when you have been in this teaching and learning area for quite some time, the learning theory is already in yourself, because you are also a learner. Again, you are also learners. You know how do you learn? How do you learn? However, the problem, the challenge is that you did not know these kinds of learning process belong to this theory. This kind of learning process belong to theory A, theory B, and so on. That is the challenge, because in terms of the knowledge, your knowledge in the education might be compared to those who actually from the education background, they have a knowledge in education. But don't worry a lot. I used to observe my friends from education. They are good in terms of theories in education, but they are not good in terms of implementing the theory in teaching and learning. So I give you one tips. As long as you stick with one theory that represents your innovation, you did not need actually to explore other theories. But what you need to focus is your strength, which is actually you are the one who practice the theory, which has not been experienced by some of the people in education itself. Okay, my friend for education marah lah kalau saya cakap ni, tapi betul. That's true. Some of my friends in education, they are very good in theory, but you can see their class. They are not implementing the theories. But you are the one who the implementer of these theories. So as long as it shows that your student immersed in learning, your student love it, you give a positive comment, the performance of the student has been improved a lot. They learn a lot from your styles of from your innovation. That's enough. That's enough. That's enough for you to satisfy and to stand in front of the jury saying that this innovation worked in my class. You have to have the guts to say it by providing the proof. How do I say this innovation works? My student between the along this 4 semester, nobody failed in my class. Okay, I've been invited by others to share my innovation at UIA level. This is another thing that UIA can do. Scalable and transferable. What UIA can do is that for those who have innovation, especially those going to join Akri, ask them to give a talk. Ask them to give a talk on their innovation to others, to those in UIA. Because if they will be invited to share their innovation at the faculty level or might be at the university level, that's going to be proof to the jury that your innovation is transferable to others. This is how you can play. In UTM, we play with this. Our Center of Teaching and Learning, we invite them. We know that they have innovation. So we ask them to give a talk about 1 hour about their innovation. So the person who's going to give a talk on this innovation, they get recognition. And they get recognition. So Mira, don't worry about it, okay, about the juries. The things that you have to remember that you are the one who implement the teaching and learning methods that you use in your innovation. And don't ever say that I'm not from education, so I didn't know about this theory. Don't ever say that during pitching. Nail it during pitching. During pitching, say that you are the one who implement this theory, but focus more on the practice that you already did in your class. And don't answer it on the perspective of theory. Okay.
Thank you, Prof.
You have to be confident on it. Okay. And then another thing is that you have to have patience. You have to have patience on during pitching. And I did rehearse my pitching. Saya pun buat rehearsal juga. Timing it, have a backup plan on it. On what I call it, pitching. And I need to observe also the juries. If the jury macam distract, tak pay attention on my pitching, so I skip to my backup plan number 2, backup plan number 3 and so on. You mesti ada backup plan. Jadi kalau tanya saya sebenarnya pitching ni macam kalau orang yang paling pandai pitching ni siapa tau? Orang yang jual barang kat tepi jalan tu. Yang menyebabkan you beli tu. I learn from them. How do they actually sell something yang you tak guna pun tapi you beli. Okay. So this is where you need to learn the technique. My tip simple saja. What I'm actually using 2 tips to make it my pitching interesting. You put your passion on it. You make it as informal as you can. Don't follow the script. I don't have a script, but you need to rehearse. You need to rehearse it during masa take your shower. Saya rehearse. Masa memandu. The best thing is for you to rehearse is that while you driving and masa you mandi. Because apa tau? Because you are doing 2 things at the same time. Memandu, you have to pay attention memandu. So when you rehearse it when you're driving, it will going to be automatically in yourself later on to explain it. So everything will be smooth running. Okay, Allahu Alam, sharing it. Okay, I hope UIA can join it. I believe there are so many, I think, talented professors and everyone in UIA to join the competition. Okay, good luck you all.
MashaAllah. Thank you so much, Prof, for the wonderful sharing session. It's very beneficial and inshallah do pray for us, Prof. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a 5-minute break before we proceed with our next session. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Prof. Ladies and gentlemen, for the third session, I would like to welcome Encik Muhammad Nur Azam Rasdi from UC Science Islam Malaysia, and he was the winner for 2019 Akri for the category of Pengalaman Pembelajaran Immersive Bersemuka or Face-to-Face Learning. We are so glad you could be here today to share your insights on this category. The floor is now yours, Encik Nur Azam. Sorry, Cik Azam, we couldn't hear your voice. No.
Assalamualaikum.
Salam.
Okey. Saya punya earphone ni problem. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okey, terima kasih firstly kepada Tuan Amirul selaku moderator. Jadi saya minta izin untuk present sembang-sembang dalam bahasa Melayu, boleh ya? So firstly saya perkenalkan diri dulu, saya Muhammad Nur Azam bin Rasdi, daripada Fakulti Pengajian Quran dan Sunnah Universiti Sains Islam Malaysia, USIM. So firstly saya alhamdulillah syukur dan sangat-sangat berterima kasih atas kepercayaan daripada pihak CPD IIUM sebab memberi peluang untuk saya berkongsi sedikit sebanyak pengalaman berkaitan dengan Akri ini. Saya kena berhenti pukul 12 kan? Ini 11 suku kan? Okey, saya straight saya sebenarnya tak tahu juga lepas saya follow pembentangan yang sebelum ni. Saya rasa Prof Zaidah dah banyak share macam-macam maklumat tu dengan penuh semangat lagi kan, dan memang seorang yang dalam bidang. Berbanding dengan saya ni, tak tahulah, alhamdulillah diberi peluang, diberi anugerah untuk menang Akri tu. Allahu a'lam, sebab apa spesifik tu saya tak tahu. Daripada perspektif juri tu saya tak pasti sangat elemen apa yang menyebabkan kami dipilih tu. Kalau bagaimanapun saya fikir saya boleh share sebagai seorang peserta lah, daripada sudut pandang seorang peserta. Jadi firstly, dalam kami ni masa join Akri hari tu, mula-mula sekali saya fikir saya cerita sikitlah pengalaman awal. Pada peringkat pertama, pada tahun 2018 tu, mula kami try untuk join Akri pada 2018. Kami ni saya di Fakulti Pengajian Quran dan Sunnah ni, kami ada satu kursus namanya aplikasi Braille dalam pengajian Quran dan Sunnah. USIM ni mengamalkan integrasi nakli dan akli. So nature subjek ni adalah kita nak menyampaikan Quran Sunnah dengan cara mengaplikasikan Braille tu, ataupun dalam arti kata lain, macam mana kita nak menyantuni OKU penglihatan, menyampaikan konten daripada Quran dan Sunnah kepada OKU penglihatan menggunakan medium Braille. So itu adalah nature ataupun itu adalah basic utama bagi subjek ni, dan Daripada situ maksudnya subjek ni adalah subjek yang berbentuk servis. Maknanya kita servis memberikan, kita nak menyampaikan agama lah, kita nak menyampaikan agama, nak share agama kepada OKU penglihatan melalui braille. Okay, sorry ada kacau sikit tau. Okay, dan pada tahun 2018 sebenarnya kami try untuk join. Sebenarnya bukan kami try untuk join tau, to be frankly TNC kan dia pilihlah certain subjek yang dia rasakan ada potensi yang agak unik untuk menyertai Akri. Antaranya kami punya kursus ni lah, dia turunkan kepada arahan kepada setiap fakulti untuk buat penyertaan, dan fakulti pilih beberapa kursus dan antara yang terpilih tu kursus kami lah. So sebenarnya pada 2018 kami tak faham apa-apa benda arahan. Jadi kita baca arahan tu, kemudian kita tengok pada borang, kemudian kita cuba tengok pada website KPM. Mula-mula sekali tu tak tahu sebenarnya kami ni nak join kategori apa. Yang tu dulu mula-mula. Yang tu dulu sangat mula-mula tu sebenarnya kita ni nak join kategori apa. Kategori ada 4 kan yang besarnya apa. Kurikulum program pengajian inovatif, pengajaran transformatif, pengalaman pembelajaran immersive, atau pentaksiran alternatif. Lepas tu setiap satu tu pun ada kaki dia lagi kan. Ada cabang-cabang dia lagi. Jadi pada tahun pertama asal-asalnya kami cuba pengajaran transformatif. Pengajaran transformatif kita isi borang dan kita pilih satu projek. Terms dalam dalam borang tu pun kita tak berapa nak pasti sangat. Apa maksud yang ada dalam yang dimaksudkan dengan projek dekat dalam tu, macam mana apa benda yang nak keluarkan satu elemen projek yang nak dikeluarkan daripada kita punya kursus dengan subjek itu. Jadi kami try dan kami hantar pada 2018 dan habis diam macam tu je kan. Tak ada sembarang tak ada feedback lah, maknanya tak terpilih apa-apa lah untuk ke finalis tu. Then pada 2019 sekali lagi masa Akri 2019 tu macam biasa juga dapat satu arahan juga daripada atas untuk join. Dan pada kali kedua kami join tu, kami cuba analyse sendiri lah sebab kita tak tahu, kita tak dapat feedback apa dia kelemahan, apa dia kekurangan borang yang mula kami hantar pada 2018 tu kan. Tak ada jawapan apa-apa, kita pun tak tahu apa dia yang kita kena tambah baik bila nak isi borang pada 2019 tu pula. Jadi pada 2019 tu kita cuba study. Saya guna perkataan kita ataupun kami ni sebenarnya sebab kami dalam grup kami, penyertaan kami dalam Akri ni adalah melibatkan kepada 6 orang, satu tim lah, dan saya sangat setuju dengan Prof Zaida tadi untuk buat kerja ni memang elok dalam tim lah, Saya memang respect peserta-peserta yang boleh handle seorang-seorang dia sebab kerjanya pada saya sangat renyah, banyak kerja kena buat dan itu bukan satu benda yang kita nak tumpukan sambil kita nak isi borang tu, nak cari evidence, nak buat video, nak prepare kan, bila dah terpilih tu nak pitching tu, nak prepare untuk pitching tu, memang bukan kerja lah kalau nak buat seorang-seorang. So memang saya pun sangat recommend kita develop satu team Dan alhamdulillah untuk kursus ni memang ada beberapa orang, memang ada 3 orang 4 orang yang ada 4 orang yang biasa mengajar untuk kursus yang saya sebut tadi tu, kursus yang kami jadikan base untuk pertandingan ni, aplikasi Braille dalam pengajian Quran dan Sunnah. Dan kami pun memang satu tim research. Dalam masa yang sama kami ada beberapa orang research assistant, dan kita masukkan sekali 3 orang research assistant kami sebagai ahli grup lah, maknanya faham lah kan. Research assistant ni kerja dia yang itulah technical tu memang kita minta tolong dengan mereka lah untuk buat video tu untuk edit. Kita cuma kumpul bahan-bahan dan kita set upkan idea dan juga konsep yang kita nak present. Okay. So masa 2019 tu kita pilih pengalaman pembelajaran imersif bersemuka. Okay. Dan pada waktu tu, okay, antara yang fikirkan adalah yang pertama sekali kita untuk menyertai Akri ni, untuk menyertai pertandingan ni, niat kita mesti betulkan dulu. Yang itulah yang memang saya ingat sama-sama kami masa mula-mula nak bincang tu. Dan niatnya sebenarnya adalah macam kami ni semua nature adalah pengajian Islam. Okay. So memang diketahui ramai, memang perkara yang common. Pengajian Islam adalah satu biasanya untuk subjek-subjek pengajian Islam ni kursus-kursusnya adalah berbentuk tradisional. Okay, tradisional. Pengajian talaki, guru baca, murid dengar, murid hafal, macam tu kan. Jadi dia sangat kurang dalam bentuk apply. Okay. Jadi kursus kami ni adalah kursus yang melibatkan dua-dua elemen, ada elemen nakli, ada elemen akli. So antara pendekatan yang kami gunakan dalam kursus kami ni adalah servis, mereka belajar apa benda yang mereka belajar dalam kelas. Lepas tu kita panggil, kita bagi pendedahan kepada mereka kena buat research dulu sikit. Kita bagi pendedahan tu dalam bentuk kita jumpakan mereka, kita invite OKU untuk datang ke USIM bagi talk. Salah satu daripada sesi perkuliahan tu adalah kita buat macam forum tu mesti dihadiri, pelajar buat untuk pelajar buat projek, pelajar buat organize forum, invite speaker dia daripada OKU okay, untuk memberi pendedahan. Kemudian selepas daripada dapat pendedahan tu, okay, dengan ideanya bahawa pendedahan tu akan memberikan mereka level simpati dan awareness. Kemudian bila mereka dah ada elemen ni, mereka akan keluar, mereka akan pergi buat lawatan servis. Mereka akan pergi ke komuniti, sama ada persatuan orang buta ke ataupun sekolah pendidikan khas penglihatan kan. Mereka pergi sana dan mereka akan servis mengikut kemahiran yang mereka sedia ada. Contohnya mereka dekat sini ni pelajar-pelajar Fakulti Pengajian Quran dan Sunnah, macam ustazah lah kan. So mereka pergi sana, mereka pergi ke kelas, mereka pergi ke komuniti OKU ataupun sekolah-sekolah pendidikan khas OKU penglihatan ni. Mereka buat klinik solat, klinik Quran, sirah, macam tu lah. Okay. Dengan apa dia yang membezakan tu adalah cara ataupun teknik pengajaran, macam mana nak menyampaikan kepada orang buta, nak ajar solat kepada orang yang tak boleh tengok, macam tu kan. Jadi itu adalah pengalaman ataupun yang kita katakan immersive tu lah dekat situ. Okey, itu maknanya itu bentuk kursus yang ditawarkan kepada pelajar, yang pelajar dapat pengalaman yang pelajar dapat lalui daripada kursus tu. So cara mengajar dalam kursus-kursus pengajian Islam yang berbentuk begini, maknanya kita ada buat projek, student kena buat projek, kena invite, kena berkomunikasi sendiri, kena bermuamalah sendiri dengan OKU untuk jadi speaker. Okay, maknanya kena menyantuni mereka datang tu kena sambut macam mana cara bawa orang buta dia tak sama macam kita melayani, ada perbezaan kan dengan cara melayani orang tipikal. Kemudian masa mereka pula pergi buat servis di komuniti OKU, mesti ada perbezaan antara macam mana servis kepada orang tipikal, macam mana servis kepada OKU. Jadi elemen-elemen ni semua adalah kami rasa sesuatu yang perlu di-share, perlu kongsikan, terutamanya dengan sahabat-sahabat yang sama-sama mengajar subjek-subjek berbentuk pengajian Islam ni lah. Sebab pengajian Islam ni dia satu benda yang sangat, ialah biasa macam dalam kelas kan, talaki macam tu kan, antara guru dengan murid itu tak diaplikasikan. Pelajar tu tahu ilmu tu tapi tak tahu macam mana nak sampaikan kepada masyarakat, dan masyarakat ni pula ada banyak golongan. Okay, so golongan tipikal dah biasa. Okay, ramai orang boleh ceramah, ramai orang boleh ajar orang tipikal biasa baca Quran apa semua, tapi ada lagi di sebaliknya dalam golongan dalam buta. Jadi mereka ni perlukan sesuatu, mereka pun nak beragama, mereka pun nak, tapi kita masih kurang dalam menyampaikan kepada mereka itulah teknik dan kaedah. So itu yang sebenarnya kami niat kami adalah untuk share macam mana pengalaman student, macam mana student boleh dapat daripada kursus ni. So kemudian kita pun bila kita dah dapat idea daripada kesimpulan daripada apa yang kita buat dalam kursus ni, lepas tu baru kami bentukkan dia punya kita designkan dia punya projek tu. Sebenarnya projek ni macam tu kita dah buat tapi tanpa merujuk mana-mana teori. Kita rasa yang kita buat ni macam ni lah kot, dan kursus ni dah ditawarkan daripada 2008 lagi. Saya dan tim saya memang dah mengajar kursus ni daripada 2008, dan daripada 2008 tu sampailah kepada 2019 kita join Akri tu, kita dah lalu banyak pembaharuan, penambahbaikan. Even kami sendiri pun pernah dapat grant KTP, Knowledge Transfer Program, okay, daripada KPT lah, 2016 kalau tak salah saya, 2015-2016 dapat grant KTP tu. Jadi itu salah satu juga daripada evidence bahawa teknik pengajaran tu boleh dipindahkan atau transferable kepada orang lain. Okay. Dan bila kami tengok kepada konten, macam mana subjek ni disampaikan, kursus ni disampaikan, baru kami design. Kami kata tadi kan design, dan kita designkan tu kita lukis lah kan, elok-elok buat dia punya graf dia apa semua tu untuk masukkan ke dalam borang tu, dan menamakan projek samalah macam mungkin samalah macam Prof Zaidah tadi tu. Saya mula-mula kita bagi nama panjang, integrasian nakli dan akliyah, benda gitulah, kita bagi nama panjang-panjang mula-mula tu. Dan sekali kita kata ini bukan pembentangan seminar, ini bukan pembentangan MQA kan, ini dia lebih kepada satu benda yang mesti ada elemen kreatif dan catchy. Jadi kita namakan emansipasi ummi. Itu nama tim kami, Ibnu Ummi Maktum Research Center. Dan emansipasi itu kita ambil daripada salah satu daripada kita punya program awareness lah yang kita buat. Kemudian bila kita design apa yang kita nak present dalam borang tu, baru kita mula tulis dalam borang. Kemudian kita bagi nama projek, dan bila dah siap tulis dalam borang tu, kita pun cari evidence. Cari evidence. Dalam borang tu, kalau saya boleh sharekan sikit, dalam borang tu antara perkara yang ditekankan, dia mesti ada 4 elemen kan. Yang pertama rationalnya. Rational ni lebih kurang macam problem statement lah kita nak bentangkan dekat dalam tu. Rational ni mewakili 10% daripada markah borang tu. Kemudian pendekatan yang kami faham lah ni kan, peserta lah. Wallahualam, mungkin nanti betul ke tak betul kan. Macam method macam kami. Lepas tu apa yang student dapat, macam mana cara mengukur kemudian keterlibatan pelajar. So pendekatan ni adalah macam teori. Kemudian keterlibatan pelajar dan impak ke atas pembelajaran pelajar. Dua benda ni, keterlibatan pelajar dan impak ke atas pembelajaran pelajar ni sangat-sangat memerlukan kepada evidence, sangat memerlukan kepada bukti. Jadi bukti ni pun kami bincang. Apa bukti yang terbaik? Apa bukti yang boleh menunjukkan keunikan, sebab kita tahu semua peserta, semua peserta adalah academician. Semua peserta biasa main borang dokumen MQA. Maknanya akan ada persamaan pada cara membuktikan elemen keterlibatan pelajar dan impak ke atas pembelajaran pelajar tadi kan. Jadi kita pilih evidence ni, pada saya cara kita pilih evidence ni mesti cara yang unik sikit. Maknanya mungkin orang lain tidak present evidence dengan cara yang kita present. Jadi kita pilih hari tu, selain daripada yang asas-asas, kita kuatkan dengan yang pertama sekali keratan akhbar. Maknanya pengiktirafan daripada pihak yang ketiga, bukan daripada kita yang cakap, bukan daripada student sendiri yang cakap, tapi daripada luar. Maknanya contohnya pada keterlibatan pelajar tu ada slot nasi lemak kopi O dulu, pernah datang buat rakaman untuk khusus kami ni, dan disiarkan, jadi kami ambil part daripada situ, daripada video dia tu. Ada daripada RTM lagi ke, ada daripada beberapa maknanya orang luar yang bercakap mengenai khususnya. Jadi kami pilih yang itu sebagai kami punya evidence yang paling kuat. Macam itu juga impak ke atas pelajar. Impak ke atas pelajar ni kita ada komen daripada pelajar sendiri, tapi komen daripada pelajar sendiri ni kadang-kadang kita rasa macam yelah, kalau komen direct, betul ke pelajar ni komen daripada hati dia kan. Dan kita yang membaca ni pun, kalau kita baca komen-komen ni, kita boleh rasa lah mana komen ni yang betul-betul ikhlas, mana komen kita pilih komen pelajar yang mereka buat secara public dan bukan tuju direct kepada kita. Contohnya macam komen pelajar di yang punya media sosial dan Facebook dia ke Twitter dia ke apa benda, dia ada komen, dia tak sebut nama kita tapi dia sebut berkenaan dengan kursus. Jadi kita nampak benda tu, yelah kalau dia nak mengampu, kalau dia nak ambil hati kita, dia sebut nama kita, tapi ni dia tak sebut nama kita, dia sebut kursus tu. Itu membuktikan satu apa, itu satu komen yang apa natural lah kan. Dan samping itu kita cari juga keratan-keratan akhbar yang mengiktiraf. Boleh ke saya share sikit ya. Di samping itu macam kami ada buat juga beberapa lawatan. Memang boleh katakan setiap semester kami buat lawatan, kecuali masa ni lah, masa lepas pandemik ni kita tak dapat buat kan. Tapi sebelum tu memang setiap semester kami akan buat lawatan, sebab lawatan ni memberikan impak yang besar pada student. Dia dapat masuk sendiri ke komuniti tu, dapat berinteraksi direct, mereka dapat belajar satu benda yang memang macam satu dunia yang lain. Jadi kita masukkan gambar-gambar yang berkenaan yang betul-betul praktikal. Susahnya nak screen. Boleh ke? Nampak ke?
Nampak?
Nampak kan? Alhamdulillah. Okey, yang ni ni antara contoh-contoh lah. Macam mana nak gerakkan dia? Gambar-gambar yang kita share lah dekat apa portfolio yang kita hantar tu. Ada poster-poster mengenai apa, poster-poster mengenai program-program pelajar tu semua kita sharekan lah dalam kita punya portfolio yang kita hantar tu. Okey. Kemudian apa lagi yang saya nak share? Pada borang, pada borang tu macam ni tau, saya share secara apa ni, secara ikhlas ni kan. Masa kami hantar borang tu di UC ni, tak silap saya ada 6 ataupun 7 penyertaan masa 2019 tu. Daripada Fakulti Mengajar Rationale kami satu, daripada Fakulti Sains, Fakulti Mengajar Bahasa, ada beberapa penyertaan lagi lah. Dan saya sebenarnya lambat dapat hantar borang tu, sebab nak cari elemen-elemen pembuktian tu yang lambat sikit tu, dan adalah beberapa kekangan yang lain. Dan bila hantar tu, saya sangat terkejut juga mula-mula, sebab saya tengok peserta-peserta yang lain, dia punya portfolio tu tebal-tebal, memang tebal. Dan masa saya hantar tu dah memang due date lah saya hantar. Dan saya cakap dalam hati, bahkan saya cakap dekat tim saya juga, saya kata macam ni lah, yang kita hantar ni adalah yang terbaik lah yang kita dapat usahakan. Dan saya minta maaf lah kekurangan apa benda yang tak dapat dipenuhi. Tapi satu benda yang kita belajar, kita dah lebih faham konsep dia, dan kalau ada penyertaan tahun-tahun depan, kita akan buat lebih baiklah. Kita simpan dulu dokumen ni elok-elok tahun depan kita akan cuba buat lebih baik. Macam tu saya fikir, sebab satunya kami punya portfolio tu tak besar sangat, kecil berbanding dengan orang lain yang hantar tu. Okay, dan saya berpeluang juga belik-belik yang orang lain tu memang banyak pendetailan yang diletakkan. Jadi wallahualam, saya fikir kemungkinan juga ada dalam kita punya portfolio tu yang kita sertakan dalam borang kita tu, ada part-part yang mungkin tidak perlu untuk kita letak. Okay, dia maknanya tidak menarik. Macam Prof Zaida tadi tu kata mesti ada sesuatu yang unik yang kita nak tonjolkan. Maknanya semua orang akan hantar benda yang sama, evidence yang sama, elemen yang sama kan, tapi apa benda yang membezakan kita dengan orang lain. Saya fikir sebenarnya elemen tu yang lebih penting. Sebagai juri, kita akan tengok benda yang sama je, tapi bila kita tengok sesuatu yang lain tu, kita rasa ada satu keunikan dekat situ. Saya fikir mungkin elemen tu sangat membantu juga bagi sahabat-sahabat di UIA untuk gunakan. Okey. Kemudian apa lagi? Satu lagi, immersive ni, pembelajaran immersive ni adalah melibatkan student, adalah melibatkan apa yang student dapat. So memang fokus kita kena cerita mengenai apa yang student dapat. Bahkan pada portfolio kami tu sebenarnya di USIM ni kami tak cetak sendiri. Okay, maknanya ada jabatan yang menguruskan, kami cuma hantar soft copy, mereka semua akan cetak dan mereka akan hantarkan sekaligus. Okay, tapi dan mereka ada standard, muka depan kena gambar peserta macam ni kan. Itu satu lagi yang masa kami hantar, kami tak nak muka peserta, muka kami ni duduk di muka di surat depan portfolio tu. Kami nak muka student sebab ini adalah berkenaan student, immersive. Okay, apa yang student dapat, bukan apa mengenai diri kami. Ini mengenai apa yang student dapat. Itu satu lagi saya fikir antara perkara yang kita boleh bertitik beratkan lah. Setiap presentation kita tu mesti menjurus kepada apa kategori kita tu. Even gambar muka depan portfolio kita tu pun mesti menggambarkan kategori yang kita nak sertai tu. Dan itu pada peringkat ni lah, pada peringkat penyertaan borang tu. Dan alhamdulillah kami tak sangka juga kami terpilih. Alhamdulillah kami dapat pergi ke final, dan saya ingat lagi ada satu juri tu kata borang kami tu sebenarnya taklah strong sangat. Ada kekurangan. Memang saya akui lah, daripada tahun mula-mula tu pun saya rasa ada beberapa kekurangan. Tapi penyertaan memang sangat banyak dalam kategori yang kami sertai tu. Kategori nama kita ni? Immersive bersemuka, pengalaman pembelajaran immersif bersemuka. Memang yang ni kategori yang paling banyak sekali penyertaan. Masa pitching tu pun ada berapa ada 12 ke 13 ke berapa, banyak paling ramai sekali penyertaan, paling banyak sekali pitching dalam kategori pengalaman pembelajaran immersif bersemuka ni. So masa kami dapat tahu yang kami dapat terpilih ke final tu, yang pertama sekali TNC kami panggil dan set upkan satu tarikh untuk kami prepare dan present dulu depan dia. Kan? Prepare dan present depan dia, dan masa present tu banyaklah yang di komen, banyak yang di share melalui pengalaman dia pernah tengok pitching yang Akri 2018 macam-macam lah cerita dan komen. Dan kita memang sangat apa nak katakan, sangat-sangat menitik beratkan unsur kreativiti pada persembahan. Macam tu, sebab kita dah tak payah tambah lagi apa benda evidence yang dah sedia ada kita sediakan, tapi dan kita tahu juga semua orang yang akan present tu mereka ada evidence masing-masing. Semua yang terpilih ke final tu maknanya memang evidence dia dah kuat kan. Tapi macam mana cara kita nak buat persembahan, kami banyak fokuskan kepada macam mana cara kami nak persembahkan evidence tu. Okay. Dan kita mencari satu konsep persembahan. Kita tak nak kita tak nak present macam present seminar macam tu je kan, macam present biasa-biasa dalam kelas macam tu. Jadi kami cari satu konsep dan akhirnya kami pilih konsep yang berbentuk macam dokumentari. Okay, kami gunakan presentation kami tu dalam bentuk slide yang macam movie. Maknanya dia bergerak terus dan tengah-tengah slide tu ada video dan presenter duduk di depan penonton macam seorang juru macam host rancangan yang dia tidak bercakap dengan melihat kepada slide. Bahkan 10 minit yang diberikan untuk pitching tu memang presenter kami tu Prof. Dr. Nunajihan, dia hafal dan alhamdulillah memang cukup 10 minit tu. Dan nak dapat macam tu memang banyak kali, memang berbelas kali kami buat latihan bersama. Jadi saya fikir di samping presentation tu kita buat dalam bentuk dokumentari, dan kita di samping tu juga kita cari satu elemen yang orang kata apa, boleh touching efek dia, dan benda tu mestilah berbentuk, sebab kami dalam kategori immersive ni kan. Jadi kita bila kita present tu kita cuba immersifkan juri dan juga para penonton. Macam tu. Jadi kita bukan bercakap mengenai diri kita, tapi kita cuba menjadikan juri dan juga penonton tu dapat feel imersifnya tu di mana. Mereka pun dapat sama feel imersif tu. Jadi yang itulah kot saya fikir beberapa sharing yang saya dapat bagi. Yang lain-lain tu macam biasalah kot, saya rasa sama je. Peserta yang lain juga pengalamannya sama. Masa kita pitching tu macam Prof. Zaidah cakap tadi, tengok respon juri masa tu macam mana, apa yang kita nak reflect bila juri tanya. Masa peserta-peserta lain present tu, kita tengok juga apa dia kekurangan pada presentation kita yang kita perlu tambah. Kita boleh belajar daripada presenter-presenter yang lain yang sebelum kita kan, bahkan yang selepas kita pun kita perlu tengok juga banyak ilmu yang kita boleh dapat. So saya fikir itu je kot yang saya boleh share dulu. Ataupun kalau ada apa-apa penambahan perbincangan ke, boleh kita sembang-sembang juga, insya-Allah. Ya, Dr. Amirul.
Okay, terima kasih Encik Nur Azam for the sharing session. Kalau saya boleh simpulkan di sini Encik Azam, I mean online classes pun kita ada, online punya learning pun kita ada challenges dia. Sama juga dengan kita punya face to face punya learning platform. So boleh tak Cik Azam share dengan kami semua what could be the challenges when it comes to face-to-face punya learning method? And how do you overcome that?
Okay. Saya fikir kategori yang kami yang kita yang kami share ni, pengalaman pembelajaran imersif bersemuka. Saya fikir yang ni yang paling senang pun antara banyak-banyak kategori ni. Yang pertama sekali nature pengajian Islam kan, sebab kami daripada pengajian Islam, memang kita boleh katakan sebelum daripada COVID-19 ni, norma baru COVID-19 ni kan, memang pembelajaran memang 100% memang bersemuka, memang tak ada secara maya, dan blended tu kadang-kadang blended tu memang ada, tapi saya fikir peratusannya sangat kecil. Maknanya kita sekadar buat quiz, kita sekadar share video-video YouTube macam tu untuk sebagai tambahan lah, elemen-elemen tambahan. Tapi sebagai satu penyampaian utama memang kita buat secara bersemuka lah daripada kuliah, daripada tutorial kan. Cuma yang kita tambah tu adalah elemen praktikal. Elemen praktikal maknanya kita keluarkan student daripada kelas. Kita bagi peluang student untuk berinteraksi direct dengan community. Yang pertama sekali invite community ke universiti, dan peringkat yang kedua student sendiri keluar pergi ke community untuk bagi servis dengan ilmu yang dia ada. Saya fikir macam tu je kot. Tak adalah special sangat, biasa-biasa je.
Okay, terima kasih Cik Azam. So, do you have any questions from the members of the floor? Okay, kalau tak ada Cik Azam, saya ada satu lagi soalan yang terakhir. Andailah kata tiba-tiba COVID dah tak ada, then we are going back to the normal punya culture where we have face-to-face punya learning kan. So, apakah strategi yang perlu kita buat sekarang ni so that we can apply for this particular category?
Itulah kami pun memang fikir. Selepas daripada COVID-19 ni, saya fikir memang sistem pengajaran dan pembelajaran kita memang akan terus bertukar lah. Dia tak akan jadi sama macam sebelum ni juga kan. Dan kita pun lepas 2 semester, 3 semester macam ni, kita rasa apa yang kita rasa susah sebelum ni, iaitu pembelajaran secara maya ni, sebenarnya taklah sesusah mana, dan kita dah mula membiasakan diri dan kita dapat embed lah. Maknanya saya fikir kita dapat gabungkan yang boleh membentuk satu kurikulum yang memang lebih baik, insya-Allah. Saya fikir kita tak kembalilah kot kepada norma lama tu. Saya ambil kesempatan ni juga, kalau ada sahabat-sahabat yang nak tengok, tapi saya tak letak dalam Google Drive, saya ada dalam saya punya file ni sendiri, boleh contact dengan saya boleh share, insya-Allah borang-borang penyertaan tu. Kita memang sangat-sangat suka sahabat-sahabat kita. Bahkan bila saya cakap pada kawan-kawan satu tim dengan saya tim saya 7 orang, 4 orang tenaga mengajar saya, Muhammadiyah Dr. Najihan yang jadi presenter kami, Dr. Akri, Dr. Mahyudin, semua sangat-sangat suka, dan pesan kepada saya supaya sampaikan apa yang dapat membantu pihak IIUM, sahabat-sahabat di IIUM, sampai mereka dapat berjaya. Macam tu. Dan apa-apa kelemahan penyampaian ni, saya minta maaf lah atas kekurangan saya, tapi insya-Allah apa-apa yang saya boleh bantu, kami boleh bantu, insya-Allah kami bantu. Even dari segi borang tu pun saya fikir saya boleh sharekan bentuk borang, walaupun taklah cantik sangat borang yang kami isi tu kan, portfolio tu, tapi sekadar yang dapat tu insya-Allah kita akan share.
Okay, thank you so much Cik Azan. Nanti mungkin Cik Azan boleh share dengan kami lah kontak ke email ke, So, kalau kita ada apa-apa boleh tanya dengan Cik Azan selepas ni. Okay, thank you so much Encik Nur Azam for the wonderful sharing session. Okay, then maybe we can take 5-minute break before we proceed with the next session. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next session, I would like to invite Professor Dr. Haslinda binti Ibrahim from University Utara Malaysia, and she was the winner for 2019 Akri for the category of Pengajaran Transformasi or Transformative Learning. We are so glad you could be here today to share your insights on this category. The floor is now yours, Prof. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Amirul. Can you hear me, Amirul?
Can, Prof?
Okay. Okay, so thank you very much. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon to all my colleagues here. Okay, so now it's 12 p.m. and then it's about lunchtime, right? And then like everybody I think the number of participants getting decreasing due to the time, I think. So I try to make it short to make sure that all of you can have your lunch on time. Yeah. So I will share. Allow me to share my slide now. Okay. Can you see the slide now? Okay. So let me just briefly. Okay. So today is just a sharing session for the transformative teaching, and then do interject me when you want to ask question. Just unmute your mic, because noon time should be more interactive rather than passive. Okay. So basically, I think Prof. Zaida and also the speaker before already mentioned regarding what should be in the proposal. Okay, so that is the weightage for the proposal, and T for the transformative. Yeah, so for the transformative teaching, okay, the category that we enter for the competition is 40% for the approach, like Prof. Zaida said just now. For the transformative, the transformation come from you, the instructor, not from the student perspective. Okay, so the novelty must be in your approach. That is the number one that you have to think, when you want to enter for your category. So in 2019 Akri, we have 232 participants from Malaysia that submit their form. Okay, for the transformative teaching, we have 103, and from that only 8 been shortlisted to be in the pitching. Okay, and then we have only the first place. We don't have the second place and the third place. They are very strict in terms of giving the marks for the winner. Not necessarily they give the winner for that one. So for 2019, only University Utara won the place, and then we don't have any other for the second and so the third place. Okay, and in order to be in the pitching, okay, this one I get from my director for UTLC, teaching and learning. He mentioned to us that for when you submit your proposal and your marks is 75 and above, okay, so you are qualified to go for the pitching. Okay, you are qualified to go for the pitching, and when you go for the pitching, your marks is 0. Okay, your mark is 0 when you go for the pitching. So in that particular case, our team was number 4 during the shortlisted. Okay, and then during the pitching, our mark is 0. So that's why if you are chosen to go for the pitching, okay, make sure that you can change a lot of things. I did change a lot of things for my from my proposal to my pitching. Okay, I don't really follow exactly what I have in my form, because you need to change a lot of things, because right now you have to have a different head because you want to go for the winning one. Okay, you want to go for the winning. So that is the thing that we did in our team. And I also agree with other speakers that this type of competition, if you do it alone, it's like, I don't know what to say. You have to be in a team, because there are so many things that you need to think and so many things that you need to prepare before the pitching, because you are given like maybe 3 weeks or 1 month before the pitching. And it's a lot of work need to be done. Okay, so this is just a simple, maybe a useful step for you to start. Okay, when you go for the Akri, because I'm not from education background like Prof. Zaida, I'm from mathematics department. Okay, and I have done this project. No, when I did my project, I don't really think that I want to go for the Akri competition. I did the project because the passion for me to teach math. Okay, that is my passion. Okay, so we have done this project. I mean before this with a community for the STEM program, and then starting 2017 we have done the project. Okay, and then when the dean asked me, can you, I mean submit for the Akri. So I was thinking like which category that my project can fit, which category. So that is my first step. Okay, so I studied all the category that Akri for the Akri. There are 4 categories, and for each category you can see the form and you can see the previous winner slide. You can see their slide. You can see their video. So I do a little bit research in terms of their contribution for each category. Okay, I do a little bit research to see their contribution, and I see where can I fit in for my category, because it's a very, very important step for you to choose your category, because if you fail to choose the right category, you fail to put your novelty in that category. Okay, that is for me, that is very, very important. So that is what I did for my first step. Okay. Like I mentioned to you, I'm not in the education background. So when I really want to put my category in the transformative teaching, okay, so I have to see that what is my novelty in my transformative teaching that makes me can fit in the transformative teaching. Okay, so I try to Google and find something, do a little bit research in terms of transformative teaching. So this is the one that I hold on when I do my submit my project. I come across this well-known researcher in education, Meziro. He described about transformative learning as a transform problematic frames of reference to make them inclusive, discriminating, reflective, open, and emotionally able to change. So I hold on this definition in order for me to see or to make my project become can be transformed. So that is what I did for the first step. Okay, because you want to enter the competition, it's not like usual teaching. You have many of you, I believe, you have the novelty in your teaching, but somehow you need to put a very good ingredient in your teaching in order to enter the competition. Okay, so this is what I hold on in order for me to submit the form for the proposal. Okay, so now before I bring you to see the whole project, let me just give a very short video about the project. STIP adalah kaedah pengajaran dan pembelajaran yang berpusatkan pelajar, dirangka khas untuk melengkapkan pelajar dengan ledakan globalisasi masa kini, merangkumi aspek pengetahuan, kerja berpasukan, komunikasi dan penyelesaian masalah. 3 kaedah utama dalam komponen STIP adalah explore iaitu penjelajahan, discover iaitu penemuan, dan develop iaitu pembentukan. Okay, so this is just like a brief introduction what is STIP. So during the presentation, we start with that video, and this is my team members. I'm the leader for that one, and then we have Dr. Masnita and Dr. Nurhayati for the team. And then the title of our project is Explore, Discover, Develop. The short form is SDIT, Fostering Active Learning. Okay. So, like I mentioned to you, this is the rationale. So, this is for math classes, and it's a very common rational problem here, because this is, if you look at the picture there, it's always a student thing, that is calculus. Students always say that they will ask you when you teach math, when can you use math actually in real life? Because for them, mathematics is like boring, abstract, very difficult to understand. It's more on rote memorization. It's something, it's very, very common. And I've been teaching more than 20 years. And then, I feel bored also teaching the same way all the time. Okay, so this day struggling actually. This is our rationale also. The students are still struggling in math because of the formulas, rote memorization, and then some of them come to the class with a very poor foundation in mathematics. Okay, so how actually you want to engage the student in the subject? So this is what we start in our rationale. We say that when you study, you need to challenge your mind with the simulating activities. You want the student to wandering around, finding out and turning it out, and we call that method as SDIT. Okay. So this is our claim. Okay, in our presentation. Week number 1. Okay, the first day of the class. When I enter the class, in my class, I always ask my student, what is mathematics? And then this is their answer in the Mentimeter. And you see the big word there is numbers. This is all the students say that mathematics is about numbers. So this is the thing that I want to transform my student by saying that mathematics is about number to something like this one. I want them to say that mathematics is something for the problem solving, is subject that they love to study, something that they love, the subject that fun to study and relate to the real world. So this is the thing that I want to show to the judge, that we will do the transformation based on the SD. Okay. So our claim again, we say that this is novel transformative teaching approach because of these 4 criteria, and we have to think to think again. This is for the transformative. It comes from you. You are the one that made the transformation, not the student. Like immersive. Immersive is the student really immersed in the learning. But transformative is you are the one that can change the whole thing that you are doing. So that is the thing that you have to be very careful for the transformative category. So this one we did for foundation studies, budak asasi. We have 210 students. We have 6 group. So we did this estate method for all the 6 group in 2018. We did that in 2018. And then the reason is low engagement in the mathematics classes, and we use the method SD. Okay, so the reason why we use foundation student, the reason is that if you use like undergrad or postgrad, there are so many MQA, the OBE, you cannot touch. If you touch, it's so hard. So at that particular semester, I volunteer actually. We have 6 classes. I volunteer to teach 4 classes. And the other 2 classes is teaching by the other lecturers. And then, because I want to do some transformation, so that is my aim. Because when I choose to teach foundation for that particular semester, at that particular time, I don't really put that we want to enter for the Akri. Okay, we just do it because I want to do it, and then I want to do the transformation. So that is my aim at that particular time. So this is the learning outcome. We have 4 learning outcome in that class. So for all these 4 learning outcome, we develop a problem-based activity. I will share with you what this problem-based activity means. And then, if you can see that before SDIT, we have all the tests for the assessment. And then when we use SDIT, we change the assessment. We have only 1 test. Final we don't touch because final is 40%. So that is how we have done the transformation here. Okay. So maybe you wondering what is SDIT? Like I mentioned to you, like I'm not in the education background. I don't know a lot of theory in education. That is something that scary me a little bit when we want to attend this competition. So because this is for the transformative teaching, it's contain 40%. So I will share with you what is the SDIT, and actually how you can apply SDIT in your teaching. So SDIT actually, okay, because I have done this project in 2017 actually for the STEM subject. for the student in secondary school in Kedah and also in primary school in Kedah. So while I'm doing the activity, something that lingering in my mind, like how actually you want to do the activity, okay? So I read a lot of articles regarding STEM subject, teaching STEM subject. So a lot of activities, they say that if you use engineering process, because engineering process, they have this engineering process, they have these five engineering process, they have these five category, okay? And my area is combinatorics, okay? This is my area, combinatorics. So when I do the activity, I was thinking like, how can actually I combine the process in combinatorics and how can I really combine the process in engineering? Because they say that when you use the process in engineering, it really makes the student become creative, innovative, and be a critical thinker. Okay, and this combinatorics is one of the area in mathematics. Okay, applied area in mathematics, and the way that when we do our problem in combinatorics, we have also to follow these 5 steps. Okay, based on this, okay, in 2018, okay, I developed this process that is called XDID. Okay, explore, discover, develop, and you can see that the black one is the combinatoric process, and the red one is the engineering process. And we managed to get the IP for this framework. Okay, so I mean, from that, we started. Okay, I started to teach my student using this method as did, and that's what I want. And then after that, before this, I'm doing it is for in my class, okay, using this method. And then I say, why don't right now I try for the big class for the foundation studies. So that is what I did in 2018. Okay, so there are 3 phases, like in the video just now. The first phase is explore. This is something that when I see in math, students lack in doing the exploration in math classes. Okay, so explore is about the student do a lot of brainstorming. Okay, and this idea also come from me when I see that student in international school, they have this math that is called heuristic mathematics. Okay, heuristic mathematics meaning that the student don't really learn like how the student in Malaysia learn. Okay, so that is all the thing that you gather all the information, then you combine, then you come with the theory. And discover is the thing that I want the student, okay, beside this is the formula, and they have to do the to see the formula, see several pattern, then they have to do the similar problem with different numbers. So no, I don't want the student to have that kind of thing. I want the student to discover from their exploration what is the thing that they discover. Okay, and you can see that this student, this is the foundation student, we bring them to the field and ask them to do the running activity, because that topic is for the function. Okay, rather than teaching function the usual way, the student have, this is the function, for example, the linear fx equals to 2x plus 3, the student plug in the value, and then, or you give like x and y, ask them to formulate the formula for the linear. This time, no, we bring the student to the field in UVM, we ask them to take the data on their own, and then after that, they have to use Excel to key in their data, and finally, okay, for the developed part, they have to come up with the formula for the function. Okay, so that is the thing that the process that we use this process actually to ask the student to do all the problems in the mathematics in that class on that particular semester. So I mentioned just now what is PBA, right? PBA, okay, how to apply STID. So in order to apply that one, we create a problem-based activity, we call it PBA. So PBA is a specific scenario actually related to the concept rather than direct presentation. So when we start giving this name PBA, people ask me, is it the same as PBL? I say I'm not in the education line. I have never done PBL. I think PBL is much harder than the one that I did. So I don't want to use the same name. So I use problem-based activity because I create the problem, and then it's just I focus on specific scenario. So that is the way that I give the name and how I define my PBA. Okay, this is one of the example. This is CLO number 1. It's a very low level mathematics. The student have actually learned this in their high school, and then during the foundation year, they still have to learn. Just imagine you have been a teacher for many years. You teach the same thing, you know, it's become very boring. I don't like it, honestly. Okay, so if you teach like the number system here, it's common. The first step that you have to see the student identify which one is real numbers, which one is not the whole number, no, write down example, all that kind of thing. For me, the student can get that one easily from the website. Okay, so what we did for this part, you know, as usual, ask the students to learn on their own. We give this problem-based activity that we call PBA. So in this particular PBA, we ask the student actually, we give the scenario here. The scenario is that the students wants to go for the vacation. They have several team members, and they are given 500 ringgit for that vacation. Okay, they have to design. First, they have to do explore where they want to go and which places that they can go. And then after that, for the develop part, for the discover part, they do like some, you see here, this is the output for the histogram and everything. They put in the Excel like how much money they want to spend for the accommodation, how much money they want to spend for the food, and so on, so on. Okay, and then the develop part, they come up with the mathematical modeling. Okay, so you know, you see that something from the number system, the less or equal, because when you do this modeling, you have the less or equal, the inequality, that is also under the number system. Okay, so that is the thing that we give the student the activity they have to do, and they submit that as a poster, and they have to follow the explore, discover, and develop. Actually, we develop like a module for PBA for this 4 CLO. Okay, this is the second CLO. So I will discuss only 2 CLO, and then the rest is in my slide. It's about sequence. Sequence, usually when you teach a student for low level, it's always like, what is sequence? They give like arithmetic sequence, geometric sequence, application of the arithmetic and geometric sequence, you know, the common thing. So this is example of the question for the traditional method. So for those, you know, who have teaching math or, you know, study math before, this is a common question. So we changed that kind of traditional method. Okay, so this is the question in PBA. So what we did was we give a sequence. That sequence is Fibonacci sequence. Okay, they never learn about Fibonacci sequence. Okay, so we find out that sequence because we use that sequence because the application of Fibonacci sequence is very is abundant. Okay, so we give them the way that we structured that one. In the explore, what is the thing that they have to do? In discover, we help them. Okay, in 1 month, how many rabbits they have, the second month, and so on and so on. And finally, we want them to develop the sequence, and they identify what is the D and how they actually develop the formula for the sequence. So that is the thing that we want the student to be or to do for that particular thing. So this is one of the example for the Fibonacci sequence, where the student, you know, come up with the formula for the sequence, and on the left hand side is the scenario for the Fibonacci. So it's very famous sequence actually in combinatorics, Fibonacci sequence. So the student like it actually. Honestly, they like it the way that, you know, we give the PBA to them. Okay. So this is the third CLO about the function. So let's keep that one. And this is the last CLO. It's about the application of differentiation. For this CLO, you have, because in UM, we have the foundation study in management. Some of the students, they don't take math. And for them, when they start studying differentiation, it's very, very hard for them. Okay, all this formula, you know, you have all the how to do differentiation, the methods and so on. But we see to the student, they have like each class, we have like 7 groups, okay, 7 groups, and each group, you know, we give like very guideline, like what is the thing that they need to do for this one. So for this last CLO, actually, we have this competition that we call a Fly with Mathematics Day. So each group, they have to come up with presentation about the application of differentiation, and then we have a competition among them. And then from competition, we choose the best 6 to be presented on the Fly with Math Day, and then we have the award ceremony for that particular session. So let me just share with you during that day what happened. Okay, so that is I mean the last activity for that class, and we have 6 group that perform, and you can see like the first dance, they have to do the dancing. They use the Fibonacci. We teach them Fibonacci, and we ask them the step must be a sequence of Fibonacci. So I have to teach them to dance, and then because some of them is very like, you know, kata orang macam kayu tak boleh dance, but then we have said that we only ask the guys to dance, the ladies they can follow at the back. And there is one class that, you know, they are not so good because their team is not been chosen to do the presentation on that day. So this class we ask them to do the dance. They have to perform 2 dances. One is Fibonacci dance, and the last one is the function dance. And we have on the top of the screen, like, you know, when linear, how they have to do, I mean quadratic, how they have to do, and then that is how the student find the song and they have to do the dance and a lot of practice. Okay, so that is what we did, and the student really enjoy that kind of activities. And then not only they enjoy, but they learn a lot from that activities. Okay, because they do a lot of research, and that is the thing that we have to do. Like we have like infused research, that one of the component in education that we have to bring to the class right now.
Saya mengetahui tentang kaedah exit ini apabila saya terlibat sebagai seorang juri dalam program Fly with Maths Day. Di situ saya kagum melihat pelajar-pelajar muda ini dapat berkomunikasi dengan baik, mempunyai keyakinan yang sangat tinggi, dengan semangat yang membara, serta dapat tampil dengan idea yang bernas.
Okay, this is the evidence. Because like I mentioned to you, when we did the program, we actually don't really think about Akri. But when we did the program, because we did proper, we have the judges who can give the marks for the student presentation, and then we have 3 judges for that event. And then when we were chosen to go for the pitching, so we want the judge to give their opinion about that program. So, you know, it's unplanned, but, you know, alhamdulillah, it turns out to be okay, everything. And this is part of the student involvement. So you see in math, actually, it's seldom you see the student can do a discussion in math. Okay, so they have a lot of discussion in the class, outside, and then we also have the Padlet and, you know, where the student can discuss, I mean, in terms of a lot of things in the class, because you know that Gen Z, they are not like me. Okay, they don't want to say. They would rather text you. They would rather write something rather than say that in class. I think that's why the online learning, they like it very much, because if you teach online, you see that if you ask them to unmute, they will not unmute. They will write a lot of things in the chat. Okay, so that is the thing. So you have to know the generation and what is the best approach actually for you to teach them. So this is you take the evidence for the student involvement inside the learning system in UUM. So you can see that, you know, how actually they really appreciate what they learn, because this student, okay, they are 18 years old after the high school. They just enter the university, and of course you have to give something, change their perspective, not the way that, you know, pen and pencil and then exam all the time. No, that's not the way. Okay, and this is what I want to share with you. I mentioned to you in the beginning that I will show to you that the transformation, we have done the transformation. So in the first day, they will see that mathematics is about numbers. Okay, we asked the same question to the student. Okay, this is the answer for week number 14. What they say about math. Okay, so something that they say that math is something that, you know, as a teacher, you have been teaching more than 20 years, then you see that they say that mathematics is beautiful. I feel like so happy and impressed of what, you know, they say. And then they say that mathematics is challenging, yes. And they say that mathematics is fun. You know, it's very hard to see that students say mathematics is fun, because you see that before we introduce XD, you see numbers, you see calculation, you even see the word log. Okay, so it's really a transformation. Okay, so this is the marks for the exam. I mean, because you need to show evidence, yeah. So when the student engage in class, definitely, you know, the exam become not difficult for them. Okay, and whatever they do inside their project, I ask the question again in the exam, because I don't really follow all the question in the textbook. Okay, the way that we refine the problem also is another thing. Okay. And of course, this is some of the soft skill. In terms of communication, actually, it's very hard for math subject. And how we know that this thing happen, we have the rubric actually for this to do the measurement.
Sebelum ini, pengajaran dan pembelajaran matematik di Pusat Asasi Pengurusan UUM ini menggunakan sepenuhnya kaedah kuliah dan tutorial. Walau bagaimanapun, pendekatan XD yang diperkenalkan telah memberikan impak yang besar kepada para pelajar. Mereka mempunyai keyakinan yang lebih dalam menyelesaikan masalah matematik. Pada pengamatan saya, para pelajar sentiasa teruja menunggu masa untuk mengikuti kelas matematik di Pusat Asasi ini.
Okay, this is the evidence from the director of Foundation Studies. So, because in order for we to do this huge project, actually we have to ask the permission, and then we have to have some budget where we do for the Fly with Math Day. We give the award. We give the student some food. Actually, we need to have budget, so we have to do the paperwork, and that's why the director know what's going on, and we tell the director that this is the method that we want to change in teaching mathematics. And then not only that one actually. So when because this is for the transformative, the method come from you. So with this method, actually we train our student to be the facilitator for the STEM program. So when I was invited to give a talk or do some STEM program in Kedah, so I will bring the student, and the way that I design my program in STEM is all using the estate method. Okay, so the student, this is how you can show the involvement of the student for that part. Yeah, so this is one of the activity that if I can share, I still have some times I think to share this one. Oops. Oh, cannot go the activity. Okay, let's try one more time. Oh yeah, so this is one of the activity in Kedah with the student. Okay, so the student use the estate method to be a facilitator. So this is like the impact of the project. Okay, so so this is all the activity, the impact for the state that we have done with Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Kedah for the STEM project. And then we are using the estate method when we design the program, and the student who have been with us in the class using the estate method will be the facilitator. So you can put that as in the impact in your project, because you are using the same method. Okay, this is just the recognition that we get. Like I mentioned to you, we have a IP for that one. Like Prof. Zaida say that usually that if you do it this semester, then you want to go for Akri, you don't have a lot of things that you compile. Okay, so like this one, you know, I have done it for 2 years before I put in the Akri. I have done some workshop for the estate method. I have do presentation, and then we managed to get the IP. We publish papers, and then we also get a grant for this one. So that is kind of the impact that you can put to show that your method is something that novel. Okay. Okay, so this is the thing that I mentioned just now. And then my last tips, okay? When you want to enter Akri, know the novelty in your teaching innovation, okay? That is the thing that you should have that in your mind, that you must know what is your novelty in your teaching innovation, okay? And then teaching actually is a journey, okay, that can foster. You have to know this one, okay, in order for you to go for the Akri. And if you don't want to go for Akri also, it's okay, because you are teachers. You have to have this one. When you teach, it's a journey that you want the student to have innovativeness. They must become creative, and they must be critical thinker, okay, because this component, if you look under economic forum, this is the essential skill that's always on the top, okay, no matter what, okay. And then to be in the competition, you have to have something uniqueness. When you unique, and that is what made you noticeable. Okay, so with that, thank you very much. And then you can reach me with my email and numbers. And then when I teach math, I always like to ask myself, what is beautiful mind? For me, that I want the student to winding up their imagination with a lot of innovative and artistic role. So that is what I always, ask my student, or try to nurture my student to have a beautiful mind. Okay, with that, thank you very much. Okay, so.
Thank you very much, Prof. Linda, for the wonderful sharing session. Indeed, Prof, after listening to your presentation, I am slowly changing my perception towards mathematics.
Okay, great. Great.
Right. We will now proceed with the Q&A from the members of the floor. Any question?
We have only 29 participants right now. Everybody go out for lunch already.
Prof, I have 2 questions.
Okay.
Right, the first one, how did you come up with the concept of XDIT?
Okay, like I mentioned to you, okay, I've been teaching more than 20 years in mathematics, okay, and then I've been teaching not only in Malaysia, okay, I've been teaching in the state when I was a student as a teaching assistant, and then I was visiting a professor in University of Bahrain in 2015 until 2017. I always admire Arab students actually, the way they are thinking, okay, because I have few students doing PhD with me in mathematics from that country. The way they do proof is differently from Malaysian student. Okay, so that is the thing that really make me want to go to teach in their country. So when I was there, the first semester I was shocked. Okay, usually in Malaysia when you teach math, you write on the board, all the students will write down, okay, follow you. But over there, no. I write on the board, the student don't write anything. They just, do like this. And then they don't write anything. At that time, I was like wondering what happened to my teaching. I always get good marks when I teach in Malaysia, but what happened? The student don't understand me or what? Okay. And for 2 years there, I studied the way the student there. And then when I come back in 2017, I was like, I think I need to help students to understand mathematics. I say there is something wrong in our country. I say that something wrong the way that we teach that makes students hate mathematics. I say to myself. So I started doing the program STEM in 2017. So the first program that we did with the Jabatan Pendidikan Negeri Kedah with 10 school. Yeah. So at that particular time when I did that one, I say that there must be a way how to design, the process, how to design the process. So because my area is in combinatorics, so I have done a lot of research in combinatorics, and the way my thinking is using that procedure, and I try to read a lot of papers regarding how to teach math. Okay, so I come across several papers that they use the engineering process and all that. So from that, I say, how can I merge my area? Because I think that my area is very, very beautiful, and then it should become creative, okay? Because the way definition combinatory also make you become creative. So I combine these two areas, and then from that, I come up with the model as did, okay? So that is the thing that when I want to enter Akri, I see from previous year, like the winner is a lot of like technology. So I was like, I don't have any technology. How can I enter Akri actually? At that particular time, I said, never mind. I have beautiful mind to bring to the Akri. So that is how it gets started actually.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Okay.
All right. Any more questions from the member of the floor?
Okay, it's a very rare opportunity to have a renowned professor. I've heard a lot about you, Prof.
Thank you.
So, because I'm teaching quite similar topics, I'm teaching data mining, which is a lot of students are afraid of math. So, when you develop that model, how I mean, like in what kind of way we can sort of we should stimulate this change, because I think you have that from the first day. From the first day, you sort of captured the perceptions first, right?
Yep.
But I'm very sure every semester you would have a different cohort where
Yep.
they probably have heard from the seniors of what is expected in the first day. So how would you sort of turn that model into some level of flexibility, Prof?
Okay. I mean, thank you. It's a very interesting question actually. Okay. The question that the judge asked me during the pitching. Okay. Have you used this method to other classes for the higher level for the postgrad? I said to them, yes. I said to them, when you teach your student to do, for example, for PhD, for example. The process of exploring, discover, and develop is there actually. That process is like everyday process. It's just like you don't name it as SD because you don't have any background to say that. Okay, so referring back to your question again. Okay, when I teach a student from a different semester, for example, during this pandemic, during this pandemic, actually I designed another thing for because during last 2 semester I'm teaching discrete mathematics. Okay, discrete mathematics, there is one area, graph theory. They have huge application. So I have done I think I have done a very big project with them in terms of that one. I use SD, and then the way that I design my course, I take the theory in that area, okay, in that subject, take the theory, and I want the student to come out with the scenario for the application for that one. And I try to bring them like what is the thing that they have to explore, what is the thing that they have to develop, and what is the thing that they have to discover and develop, because our student, they don't really have that kind of thinking process. Okay, so when I talk with several prof, some of the young prof, the prof from UPM, prof, not Rosihan, prof, I don't remember, Prof Kamil. Anybody remember Prof Kamil from UPM? Last time, so he talked to me. Yes, he said that something lacking in you when you teach maths is about exploration. Students in our country don't explore. When they don't explore, that the critical thinking is not there, because usually the student when they study math is more on they develop, because they have they see the pattern and then they develop. They don't do the explore and discover part. Okay, so that is thing lacking. Okay, I don't know whether I answer your question or not. Do I answer your question, Mira?
Yes, Prof. Yes.
Yeah, Dr.
Yes.
Mira.
So
The
flexibility is you stimulate the students to explore.
But it depends on your subject. You can start with develop. You can start with discover. You can start with exploration. It depends on the subject, because you don't have to follow that one. But that 3 process, if you remember the diagram that I give, the picture that I give to you, is a process that 3 things must happen in your learning in order to have the student with the creativity and critical and also the innovative mind. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Prof.
Okay, you are welcome.
Okay, Prof, I have one last question.
Yes, Amiro, it's okay.
Okay, apart from knowing our novelty,
Mhm.
okay, what would be your advice for those who are applying for Akri, specifically for this category, the transformative learning?
Okay. Like I mentioned to you, because transformative is come from you. Okay, so I still remember during the pitching. Okay, after I finished my presentation, the leader for that category is Prof. Nur Hayati from UTM, and she said that congratulations, you have done the transformation. So our team is the only team that she mentioned that one. Okay, I have only 2 questions during the pitching. Okay, so this is my personal view. Beside novelty, when I want to enter Akri for the transformative teaching, when I have dig the information and I have done a lot of research for what this transformative teaching is all about, I see that, like I mentioned to you just now, you have to be unique. Okay, because unique is what make you noticeable, and that's the reason when I start when we are being shortlisted for the pitching, because the director for our program, and then he also doesn't know what is the thing that we do, because usually they will, before this they always focus on technology, to transform something. So that's the reason I say that it's okay this time. I don't have I see technology is a tool. Okay, because the student use the Excel, the student use the PowerPoint presentation, we are using the Padlet and everything. That is all the technology they are using also. Okay, but then something that for you to transform the critical thinking is not easy. It's not an easy process. Okay, you have to have a mechanism, and then you also must have the experience. So this one is something that, because we put something theory there, the theory that we develop the theory. That is something unique about our innovation. And then during the pitching also, there are many the other 7 participants, some of them put like gamification. Okay, you put gamification, they just ask what is the novelty in your gamification. Okay, and there are some also bring PBL, problem-based learning. So what is the novelty in your problem-based learning? People have invent that one. Okay, so this is like you are trying to do your PhD. When you do PhD, because teaching is a research. Okay, teaching also is a research. So this is you must have a uniqueness and the novelty in your teaching for you to be in the Akri. And believe me, the Akri in the future will be more tougher than previously, because there are so many like sharing knowledge and everything. And you guys are very, very good, and then you pick up, and then there are so many changes, so you have to go and move on with the changes. And then technology, remember, when you want to enter Akri, technology is just a tool. Make sure that you have uniqueness and also novelty.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Anyone?
Okay, you're most welcome.
Anyone perhaps last question to Prof. Haslinda? Okay, Prof, if there's none, thank you so much once again for sharing your wonderful strategies. Do make dua for all of us to win this
Good luck,
category.
all the best. Okay, so just make dua, inshallah, all of you please submit your Akri. Okay, you still have time, and then you have listened to all the winners today. And then and as usual, evidence is number 1. Okay, evidence is number 1, because when you do research, remember, you have to show the evidence, how you get this one, how you get that. So keep everything in a good place. Okay, you have a lot of cloud right now, you can put your evidence. And then when you submit the form, you fill in the form, follow the format exactly. Okay, if they say like 1.5 spaces, okay, I did that one, I follow 1.5 spaces. And then they say 100 words, don't be more than that one, less is okay. And then focus, precise and exact in your form. Okay, and then make sure everything can open, and then you submit. And then after that, you have done all that part, just wait for to be shortlisted for the pitching. Okay, pitching is another story. Okay, all the best.
Thank you, Prof.
Okay.
All right, now we are going to have our Zoho and lunch break. We will resume our session at 2 p.m. with another 2 categories. Stay tuned and see you soon. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Prof.
Okay, thank you everyone.